because their yearly dues have nearly doubled. Well, Lone Star will guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. With their A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau, clients know that Lone Star Transfer is a company you can trust. For a free consultation, please go to LoneStarTransfer.com or call 855-551-7066. On this Thursday, Pelosi versus the Catholic Church. The most powerful cleric in Northern California is a marked man these days. Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone is not backing down from denying Speaker Pelosi the Catholic sacrament of Holy Communion. And not only that, the Archbishop has publicly said that Mrs. Pelosi is in danger of, quote, losing her soul, unquote. Of course, some in the secular city by the Bay see the Catholic Church as evil, not Nancy Pelosi. In many quarters, the church is mocked and scorned by people who worship at the altar of reproductive rights. To them, killing the unborn is a public service. A woman named Susan wrote a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle stating this, quote, an abortion is not just about controlling our own bodies, it's also about protecting the physical, emotional, and the intellectual life of the mother. The one too young to raise a child, the one who cannot afford a bigger family, unquote. No mention of adoption by Susan. If you don't want to, get rid of it. And don't let a pregnancy interfere with intellectual life. That seems harsh. Babies are precious. In Catholic theology, they are cherished by God. But the United States Constitution forbids the imposition of religious beliefs, and abortion is legal in the country. However, Nancy Pelosi opposes all restrictions on abortion and has been deemed a sinner by the Archbishop. Now this. AMAC is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits, insightful news, and a magazine full of uncensored content. They are pushing back against efforts to defund the police, weaken the borders, and corrupt our youth. But they need your help. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
Well, it's that time again. The time during the year where you don't have to run the furnace anymore. The time where you wake up in the middle of the night and it's hot.
Thelma! AC's broke! Again!
At AirServe, we believe the air in which you live and breathe should be comfortable and clean. So if you're sweating unnecessarily or just nervously sweating and hoping your air conditioner will make it through the day or season, visit airserve.com and make your appointment today.
Oh, AirServe will put you in your comfort zone.
We'll make it where you don't sweat unless you want to.
ShopMidmo.com. Savings just a click away.
Some fun for your family, a friend's night out, a treat for yourself. ShopMidmo.com is a delicious way to spend the day. Gift certificates up to 50% off from Firehouse Subs, Oscars, Pasta Factory, and many more local businesses. Save time, save money at
ShopMidmo.com. ShopMidmo.com.
News, analysis, opinion. We're 93.9 The Eagle, KSSC, Fayette, Columbia, a free service of Zimmer Communications.
This time it's Tulsa. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. 4 people and the suspected gunman are killed in a mass shooting at a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Police say the man killed himself, that he targeted the building and outpatient surgery center, but don't know why yet.
Dr. Cliff Robertson, the St. Francis Health System CEO, said the hospital is there to help people.
This senseless, horrible, incomprehensible act is not going to change that.
Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum says some will want to make this a political discussion about guns.
That is something to be had in the future, but not tonight.
He said now is for focusing on the lives lost and why. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Members of the British royal family, not Queen Elizabeth at this event or at a parade in London. The start of the 4-day Platinum Jubilee, celebrating Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne, longer than any other British monarch. Started with a military parade today called Trooping the Colour. It's an annual event since 1760. It was a case that had a lot of people taking sides, the actor Johnny Depp winning his defamation case against his ex-wife Amber Heard. She accuses him of physical abuse.
Johnny Depp won his defamation case against Amber Heard, the jury awarding Depp $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive on all three elements in regards to the ACLU-backed Washington Post op-ed. Lawyers Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez made a statement outside the courtroom.
We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice.
Depp issued his own statement that ended with "Truth never perishes," while Amber Heard, who countersued for $100 million, received $2 million for a single statement. In her response following the verdict, she called this a setback for women. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
The Turkish government's requesting of the United Nations that the country be referred to not as Turkey, but Turkey Yay. That's how it's pronounced and spelled in Turkish. America's listening to Fox News.
Life is about being active, whether it's about going on your daily tasks or exercising. You know you're well when you're regularly active. But what happens when being active actually hurts by the end of the day? This is the position I found myself in a number of years ago. Everything I wanted to do in my daily life, all of the activity it called for, was held captive to almost constant nagging pain. When I heard about Relief Factor, I was skeptical, but my wife said, give it a chance. Not long after I took it, I could feel the pain begin to melt away, and I've been taking it ever since. And I can tell you that Relief Factor has helped me get my life back. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be ordering a 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, or ReliefFactor.com. Find out all about this offer and feel the difference.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 6:03 and Robinson saves you time. 57 is our current temperature right now in Columbia. Going to be a nice day today. Our high around 67. Clear tonight with a low near 53 degrees as we finally get some dry time. Almost a full inch of rain yesterday in Columbia at Sanborn Field. Good morning. Here are some of the stories we are working on for you in this 6 o'clock hour. One of the main themes that Columbia City Manager will emphasize during his State of the State address here this morning is staffing, including recruitment of city employees. DeCarlin Seawood speaks at 11 o'clock this morning at City Hall. One of his top priorities has been pace for the staff, city staff as well. The council last month approved a 3% across-the-board pay raise for permanent city employees. The council also approved a $1,500 one-time retention payment to permanent employees who have been with the city since March of 2020. Columbia spokeswoman Sydney Olson tells 93.9 The Eagle Mr. Seawood will also discuss the city's strategic plan during his State of the City address this morning. This strategic plan is tied to the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, right after the news, Mayor Barbara Buffaloe will join Branden Rathert and our team here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. Meantime, Truman VA, former staff members, staffers now, veterans and their families will be in Columbia here in a few hours this morning. They'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Harry Truman Memorial Veterans Hospital. That hospital cost $15 million to build. It opened in 1972. President Gerald Ford signed the bipartisan legislation renaming it for former President Truman in 1975. This morning's 10 o'clock ceremony will be at the facility's main entrance. It's open to the public. One of the speakers will be Barney Sword. He worked there from 1974 to 1992. Mr. Sword is a name that many of you are familiar with here in Columbia. He'll talk about what it was like to work at a brand new VA facility. The ceremony will also feature a time capsule. More than 15 Columbia area employers are subcontracting with Central Missouri Subcontracting Enterprises to do assembly work, pricing and labeling, packing, and other duties. About 100 individuals with disabilities work at CMSE. Executive Director Bruce Young says they love to work, and he's encouraging other mid-Missouri businesses to contact him if they're interested.
The employees we have, some of them may not work at quite as fast as other workers or that kind of thing, but they are hard workers, and we can just do about any type of job you want. And I would ask, if you've got work, give us a holler, come look at what we've got, and I'm sure we can help you.
It's the second part of our two-part series on CMSE that employees there perform numerous duties. The plant has $2 million in state-of-the-art equipment. Interested companies can contact Mr. Young here in Columbia. His number is 573-442. 6935. That is the number to call. About 45 to 50% of Columbia Public School students currently qualify for free or reduced price lunch. Veterans United Foundation President Eric Moore says while Columbia has a lot of needs, it also has many caring people here with resources and a heart to help.
I'm getting very excited about what I think is going to be the next couple of years of some very significant positive changes in upward economic mobility that I think are going to change the future of our community forever.
BU recently had a book fair at the Shepherd Boulevard Elementary here in town where each of the school's 500 students brought 2 new books home for the summer. And Missouri State Troopers are looking for witnesses in that deadly officer-involved shooting. It happened in west central Missouri's Sedalia. Our news is brought to you this morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all of your cooling needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Padres Wednesday at Busch Stadium 5-2. They sweep the 3-game series at Busch Stadium. Nolan Arenado homering for the Cardinals. He had 3 RBIs. Yepes with 2 RBIs, including a sacrifice fly. St. Louis now 29-21. They're only 2 back behind the Brewers, National League Central. Cardinals and Cubs, 5-game series. That'll feature a doubleheader as well on Saturday. Wrigley Field. The friendly confines, if you will. The Cubs are the opponent. First pitch tonight, 7:05 on 93.9 The Eagle. Cleveland beat the Royals Wednesday 4-0. The Royals are idle today. They'll get the Houston Astros coming in to Kauffman tomorrow night. Astros, a very good team. High school baseball, Southern Boone. What a game yesterday against Marshall. Tough loss for Marshall, big win for Southern Boone. Eagles win it 6-5 Class 4 semifinal game. A.J. Evans had the game-winning hit in the 11th inning. Eagles play Logan Rogersville State Championship game today, 1 o'clock in Ozark. And congratulations as well to Father Tolton. They'll play for the Class 3 State Championship game. After coming from behind, they beat Lawson 6-3. Blazers, Springfield Catholic play for the title game tonight. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. Sunrise this morning, 5:45, sets at 8:29. Clear skies now, 57. 6:09, traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Roads are quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Stoked for him because I love him. I've loved him since Nightmare on Elm Street.
Justice is finally going to happen to him, and I'm just so happy for him. This is new beginnings for him. This is the start of a new chapter.
We love you, Johnny. We can't wait for you to be successful in the future, and may you heal from all this trauma that she gave you.
To be honest, I've been very happy that and excited that justice for Johnny is already here.
So that's reaction to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. By the way, this really does matter in my opinion. As a matter of fact, Mark Goldman, managing partner at Goldman McCormick Public Relations, he's been our go-to Hollywood guy over the years, been knowing him for a long time. And he sees the importance, why this matters, especially if you are a dude, I want to start a movement because there's some women already. Oh, that's women's rights, blah, 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 blah. What about, I'm going to start a hashtag us too. What about the guys that get falsely accused of things? Johnny Depp wins big time yesterday, and this is something, sometimes it's kind of personal to me. For a lot of years, I didn't tell anybody. I was a victim of harassment in the workplace. I was new in Pensacola, Florida, and this gal worked in another radio station. She was like the superstar in that town, and it was one of the ugliest things I have ever been. Now, this doesn't really have a whole lot to do with harassment. It does have to do with harassment, not necessarily sexual harassment. Was kind of at the center of this trial. It was somebody purportedly writing an anonymous op-ed, but everybody knew who it was, and Johnny Depp and his team of lawyers proved that in the courtroom yesterday. But it matters for a couple of reasons. Matter of fact, yesterday we were talking about the number of younger folks that have been kind of tuning in to the news and paying attention to news, and who is it we're always talking about that we want to bring to American ideas, a younger generation of folks. And younger folks were tuning in to the news. At least, maybe we accidentally got them on some important stuff.
Well, and it raised the profile of a lot of TikTokers and YouTubers because a lot of people were kind of recapping what was going on in that trial every day. And I think, I saw someone else post something yesterday. I think it's probably important to mention just that, there can be situations of mutual abuse. Yeah. And I think people forget that. They think, one person is always the abuser and one person is always the abused, but there are relationships in which, both people are doing bad things, and that's I don't think Johnny Depp is completely without fault. Sure. But I was glad to see this thing come to a conclusion yesterday.
Well, and is what it says to me is, hey, she in effect she accused him of all of this stuff, and he's saying, wait a minute, how many times do we hear somebody gets accused of something? All right, here, I'm just going to give you a bunch of money because it's not worth fighting for. Just here's some money. Shut up. I'm not going to pay $10 million in attorney fees to fight this. And he didn't do that. And he said, because I wanted the truth known. How many, especially when it does come to guys, do we see false accusations leveled against somebody and you lose right away? When accusations are leveled against you, you've lost just like that. No trial, no truth, no opposing side. Once you are accused, you've lost.
Well, and he did lose out on a bunch of business opportunities and roles, and people kind of canceled him. And so, not only does I think he want to go just to prove himself innocent, but it was hurting his overall business and ability to earn, a living.
So we can start off with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing and why it matters, or we can start off with this.
The Queen, who is 96 years old, officially reached the 7-decade mark earlier this year on February 6th.
Why is this? I don't understand. Probably much like people don't understand the fascination with the Depp Heard trial, I don't understand the fascination with whatever's happening in England with this woman who's been waving out her window like this for some 70 years now.
It's a Gen Z thing, right, Hannah?
What, that likes the Queen of England?
That are, obsessed with royals.
No, it's just weird people.
I don't know about that.
Are you obsessed with the Queen and what's happening over there?
I'm not obsessed. I'd say I'm interested.
Yeah. What is it that makes you interested in it?
I don't know. I think it's the same reason little kids like Disney princesses when they're little. That's what everybody wants to be like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an extension of the Disney princess culture that.
So it's little girls that are into it, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it's in the same way a child likes Disney princesses. That's how adults or younger adults are pining over the royal family, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Or we could lead off with this.
Bottom of the 7th, 2 outs. Marshall up 5-3. Bradley Smith rips one through right center. 1 run comes home, and here comes the second. That ties the ball game at 5. And in the 11th inning, Soboco walks it off. What an insane comeback. Eagles win it 6-5 in extras to advance to a Class 4 state championship tomorrow against Logan Rogersville.
How cool is that? Wow. Not only the Southern Boone Eagles win, they're going to the they're going to the championship now. They do it in dramatic fashion. What an incredible game yesterday. Southern Boone baseball team had an early deficit. They win in 11 innings, 6-5.
I was watching yesterday afternoon, and I was thinking, they were down in the last inning, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be so sad. And, and then just holding my breath as they went inning after inning after inning with no score, and then finally, 11th inning, a big win. So exciting.
I wish I was in Ashland this morning. At the gas station, whether it's the new one there on the east side of 63 or like Casey's General Store.
I don't know about you. I do not want to be at the gas station these days.
No.
Yeah, I want to go to the gas station and buy coffee and not gas.
There's a new coffee place, Dandelion Cafe on Main. You can come and have coffee and go to the coffee shop and talk about the game.
And hear what people are talking. I would love to be hanging out in Ashland this morning, the buzz on the streets, because that's exciting. What an incredible game. Something for folks. And listen, in this thing, and I know there's probably, in this area, you take the Boone County and the 7 surrounding counties, you're approaching, 400,000 people that live around here. And that's just in the immediate counties that touch Boone County. And there's probably 399,000 people that don't care about Southern Boone baseball. But here's why I care about it. It's cool to see young kids succeed. I love this. It's something to get behind, and you know what else it is? It's a distraction, because I can't find any baby formula anywhere. It's a distraction from that. It's a distraction from the gas prices. It's a distraction from the uncertainty of what's been happening and what has been happening since the events of January the 20th, 2021. Go. I hope they win. That's incredible. Or we could go to shooting in Tulsa yesterday. This is the mayor, and here's the thing. So 4 people die, including the gunman, apparently took his own life. And it's big news. CNN, MSNBC, USA Today, they swarm on the scene. Oh, my God. And meanwhile, these people, and you go to big American cities, it happens more often than these 4 people dying. People get shot and killed. That's what happens. But because it all happened at once, that's a bigger deal. And I wonder why that is. Why is it that somebody who loses a life every day, whether it's in the city of Columbia or whether it's anywhere else, St. Louis, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Tulsa, any of those places, somebody loses their life, and we don't put up the pictures and hear their story about this person who was shot and killed. Chicago's the easy example. Every weekend, what happens there? Every week, what happens there? Nobody posts the pictures and the stories of this. Even when little kids are killed, by the way, by errant gunfire, because that's what happens in those kinds of neighborhoods. How many times have we heard about little kids being shot in their bedroom? It's happened here in Columbia. How many times have we heard about little kids being shot in their bedroom? And it happens in those types of neighborhoods all of the time. And we don't post the stories and learn their names and learn their histories like some on the far left suggest we do. Only in mass shootings. Can anybody answer that? Seriously. Why is it? They don't get those victims don't get the attention. And I'm not talking about, listen, it's easy to compare the numbers, shootings every weekend in this big city and that big city, and it pales in comparisons. Mass shooting is sexy for some of these national news outlets. And then they try to, we're going to focus on the victims. And then they post the pictures and the stories. Well, why don't you do that when little kids are shot on the streets of Chicago or a little girl is shot and killed in her bedroom? How come we don't post those stories then? It's a rhetorical question, but if you've got any comments or suggestions, feel free to reach out via text 874-9390. As a matter of fact, 7:35. I love it when Sheriff Dwayne Carey comes into the studio. It's always a good time, and here's why. Because this guy who has been elected numerous times because people like the job that he does. He is no nonsense. He's not mean. He is no nonsense, and he is factual in his stuff. And Hannah, if I were still a drinking man, I would play the shot game, because every time Sheriff Carey comes in, what happens? What does he end up doing? Like, it happens every time.
Yeah, he drops another station's call letters.
And he'll go as far as to even mention other radio hosts, other morning show hosts from time to time. He does. And
bless his heart.
And I'm going to hey, Sheriff Carey, Hannah said, bless your heart. And I don't think it's intentional. I don't think he's trying to be a smart aleck. It's just that is how honest and open the sheriff is.
Watch, now that we're saying this, he's probably listening at home going, man, I'm going to drop as many call letters as I can.
I'm going to get them all, and they probably won't even be. And I don't, listen, you mentioned somebody like Scotty Cox or Cosmo, Scotty Cox from Clear 99 or Cosmo from Y107. That doesn't bother me at all. I love those guys personally and love what they do professionally. But when you start going outside of the Zimmer Radio and Marketing Group, not only does it bother me, but the people who put some money in my bank account twice a month, they might cringe a little bit too. So if I were still drinking, I'd play a shot game every time the sheriff mentions another radio station or another radio show host. Now, if you're a drinking person and you like to drink at 7:30 in the morning, you can play that game. Hear how that goes down. And I am also really excited. Mayor Barbara Buffaloe, her first visit now as a mayor. She'd been on several times while campaigning for mayor. She is going to be joining us. One of the big things we're going to be talking about. There was a getaway recently for, and I say a getaway, but it was, one of these working kind of things where you do all that team building stuff with city employees and elected city officials. Some of the inside scoop with her coming up 8:10 this morning on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9 TheEagle.com. Meanwhile, we're just minutes away from the daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell. What's underneath the circus tent this morning?
Biden's playing the blame game again, although he's blaming somebody interesting.
Himself? Can I take guesses? Through about 2005, I had chronic pain, and I was like researching everything. How do I do this? If you are in that same situation, you want to know about QC Kinetics. Now, we started talking about QC Kinetics, I don't know, a little over a month ago, and I'm shocked at the number of people that have been calling QC Kinetics already at 573-545-5588. And they are here in town. As a matter of fact, if you headed down 70, if you're headed eastbound towards St. Louis, you look off to your right, and you will see QC Kinetics right here in town. Any kind of pain, arthritis, lower back pain, shoulder, hips, knee pain, change the way that you think about pain. Don't have to go in and start digging around in your body. You don't have to take drugs to mask the pain. This is regenerative stuff. No downtime, no steroids. It is amazing. Learn more. Call QC Kinetics 573-545-5588, 573-545-5588.
Everyone else takes it too seriously. Thank God you get it. This is Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert, 93.9 The Eagle.
For decades, this campus has been a place where people have come to work. Heroes have come to work every day to save the lives of people in our community.
That's the mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma, about 350 miles to the southwest of Columbia, Missouri, following yesterday's shooting. What's going to happen in D.C. regarding gun control? Has a gun ever been tried? If guns kill people, has a gun that you're aware of, and I'll defer to my most brilliant attorney friend, how many cases can you think of that a gun has been charged with a murder and then a gun has been put onto trial and the gun was found guilty of killing somebody?
Never.
Hannah, can you look that up a little bit? See how many guns have been charged with killing people?
I'll get right on that.
How many guns have been found guilty in trial? And that's what's getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
The House Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing today on legislation backed by many of the Democrats in the House called Protecting Our Kids Act. It's set to do three things. It's going to raise the age limit for purchasing semi-automatic centerfire rifles from 18 to 21. It's going to make it a federal offense to import, manufacture, or possess large capacity magazines, and then also create a program to buy back the magazines. And then I think it's also going to kind of build upon Biden's executive order regarding bump stocks and ghost guns and that kind of thing.
Is anything really going to happen? As a matter of fact, the interview yesterday with Billy Long, we got talking about gun control and say. By the way, our interview with Billy Long made national news headlines yesterday. And you know what? Unlike local news outlets, they actually mentioned the radio station and the show.
Hey, look at us.
Because of some of his comments, we asked him, do you think there's really any appetite among Republicans in D.C. to do anything really about guns? So that's what they're going to be doing today. I know locally, Moms Demand Action went to Blunt's, I think, Columbia office and delivered a petition. And Blunt said, yeah, we'll look into that.
Yeah, and really this House action, what it's about is to be able to say, hey, we voted on something, that they have something to campaign on in the midterms. The Senate, there is some bipartisan discussions happening. This House legislation isn't expected to go anywhere. Whether or not those discussions in the Senate will, anything will come of them, it's still yet to be seen.
Coming up, that's your daily DC rundown here on 93.9 The Eagle with Stephanie Bell. Coming up, local school district is saying no more of these in schools. And I'm wondering how, as a parent, you would react to this, because I don't think there's really any middle ground on this issue. But no more of these allowed in school in this local school district. That's coming up about 5 minutes from now.
News. I'm Lillian Wu. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, police searching for a motive in a medical center mass shooting.
Deputy Chief Eric Dalglish says this incident claimed a total of 5 lives.
Yes, 4 innocents, 1 shooter.
He said the shooter had 2 weapons, a rifle and a handgun. The shooting lasted just a few minutes. Federal ATF agents were also on scene as part of the response. Those who were in the building were taken to a nearby school to be reunited with relatives.
Fox's Gernal Scott. And a visit to Cuba is getting easier for Americans.
The Biden administration is lifting travel regulations for Americans flying to Cuba that were put in place under the Trump administration. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had urged the Department of Transportation to lift restrictions on U.S. airline and charter flights to Cuba in a letter Tuesday.
Fox's Sean Langell. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 6:31 in Robinson Saves You Time. Right now we do have partly sunny skies. Our current temperature is 57 degrees, 55 degrees in Jefferson City. Going to be a beautiful day today, and it will certainly be mild. Our high today, 77. Clear skies tonight, low near 53. Good morning. I'm Brian Hauswirth. One of Columbia's largest healthcare providers celebrating its 50th anniversary this morning with a big ceremony. Harry Truman Memorial Veterans Hospital opened in 1972. It became Truman VA back in 1975. President Gerald Ford signed that bipartisan bill. Former President Truman passed away in 72. 10 o'clock ceremony this morning near the hospital's main entrance. They'll also have a time capsule, and that event will be open to the public. They'll highlight the work they do at Truman VA. An hour later, Columbia City Manager delivers his first State of the City address this morning at City Hall to Carlin Seawood. Speaks at 11 o'clock in the council chambers. City spokesperson Sid Nielsen says Mr. Seawood will outline big projects, successes in the past year. We'll also talk about his priorities for staffing. Mayor Buffaloe joins us live after the 8 o'clock newscast. Talk more about it. Growing number of Columbia area businesses subcontracting with CMSE for their packing and assembly work. They have more than 100 employees with disabilities who work at their air-conditioned facility on South Bearfield Road. About 15 employers who work with them. They're always looking for additional business partners. And the Veterans United Foundation here in Columbia exploring the issue of economic mobility in Columbia. They say they're optimistic about the future. News brought to you by MidAmericaMortgage.us. It's 6:33. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Padres at Busch Stadium by a score of 5-2. They sweep a 3-game series. Nolan Arenado hit a home run for the Cardinals, 3 RBIs. Yepes had 2 RBIs, including a sacrifice fly. Cardinals quietly 2 games behind the Brewers in the National League Central. That was a big series there as they made some ground up after what happened the previous couple of games against the Brewers. Cardinals are at Wrigley Field. They'll play the Cubs tonight. 5-game series. First pitch tonight, 7:05 on 93.9 The Eagle. Cleveland beat the Royals 4-0 Wednesday. Connor Pilkington, 8 strikeouts for the Guardians. He earns the win. Royals are idle today. In high school baseball, Southern Boone, Ashland Moe, they beat Marshall yesterday 6-5. A.J. Evans had the game-winning hit, 11th inning. Eagles playing Logan Rogersville for the state title game today in Ozark, 1 o'clock. Father Tolton, congrats as well to them. They'll play in the Class 3 championship game, 7 o'clock tonight. They were down 3-0, come back. They beat Lawson 6-3. They'll play Springfield Catholic in the championship tonight, 7 o'clock. Springfield Catholic, very good team. They beat Valley Park 11-0. Sports brought to you by Mo Heart Center, moheartcenter.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:34. And our traffic check is with MidMoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidMoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Our roads are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, you can give us a call or a text. Our number is 573-874-9390. Finally getting some dry time today, and some of the road crews hopefully can get out and get some of the work done that they have been backed up on because of all the rain. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
It's my driver. It's going to be either the best or the worst thing out there. So we're going to see. I'm going to hit it every single time because I want to hit those good ones. But it concerns me. But at the same time, I'm happy about it.
Patrick Mahomes, greatest quarterback of all time. I know he's only played for, 4 years now? But still, I'm going to call him the greatest of all time. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback. Kind of a fun thing, the match golf event, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So it was the old guys, which is sad since they are both younger than Brian Hauswirth. The old guys who are younger than Mr. Hauswirth.
Both still playing somehow. That's amazing.
My gosh. Yeah. Beating Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. That Josh Allen, by the way, he is really, really good, too.
Good guy. They're good man. Yeah. He really, and good. They're all good golfers, too.
They're all pretty good golfers, and one of the things that I like especially, you know what's interesting? This kind of shows that age thing. You mentioned earlier Generation Z stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, this is gonna be good.
Right? Aaron Rodgers. especially over the past 2 years. He's been in the news a lot, not just for his spectacular playing, but because of the things that he says, because he has age and he's comfortable with himself. Tom Brady, he's been in the news for things that he has said from time to time because he tells the truth. And I would suspect because as you get more older and more mature, you get comfortable with that stuff.
Not everyone gets more mature as they get older.
Points for Hannah. Nominating you for one of the winners of the week tomorrow. I am going to name you because we can't nominate people anymore. What happens when we just nominate winners and losers?
People get upset.
And if we, So, winners and losers. Hannah's going to be one of my winners tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday at 8:35 for that comment. But the younger guys, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and they make headlines because of the play on the field. I think Patrick Mahomes has made headlines for stuff his brother has said or things his wife has done.
That's true, too.
But anyhow, they lose. Still pretty cool. Welcome into the show. Glad you are going to be here.
Josh Allen, by the way, just an amazing story out of Wyoming. He really didn't play much until his last year there, and just an amazing performance. And he all but had that game won at Arrowhead Stadium this past year. And and he and Mahomes are rivals, but they're good friends too. They respect each other a lot. And I mean, as I recall, was it 13 seconds that they were able to? I mean, it's just incredible that game, that playoff game back in the I guess it was January.
By the way, is it start of the NFL season? Is it today? It's 100 days from now, or something like that.
It's in September. Yeah, I know. I'm sure that. But I'm glad they were able to get some golf in. That's good.
So over the past, almost 2 weeks now, and I don't know, I don't like to listen to 911 calls from any, and it's something I used to do professionally. I'd play them because it takes you in that moment. You can capture the emotion of the people that are calling 911. Well, usually that emotion is pretty crappy, and I don't like to play 911. It's just something I choose usually not to do, but I'm sure a lot of people have heard the 911 calls out of Uvalde in that classroom while law enforcement stood outside for an hour kind of twiddling their thumbs waiting on what to do next. The number of tapes that are out there from the 911 phone calls from these kids inside the classroom using their phones to call 911, using their phones to call mom and dad, and we hear these stories all of the times. And I wonder how that sets with parents in the Moberly School District. Moberly High School is implementing a no cell phone, no smartwatch policy. It's from KOMU, and I'll just verbatim here. When students return for the 2020, so it won't be this coming school year, it'll be 2022, 2023. They'll have to leave their cell phones and smartwatches behind. Moberly School has added a new policy that bans the use of a cell phone during the school day. Moberly's middle school already had the policy implemented. If a student has any electronic device in their possession, even if they aren't using it, they could have it confiscated. How much does an Apple phone cost now? $1,000? More than that?
Ish, yeah.
And so they say they're going to confiscate it and face even harsher punishments, have to keep the devices in their lockers or cars. And this change came after a Board of Education meeting that was held on May the 24th. You remember what happened on May the 24th? Well, that was the day of the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. According to KOMU, some parents and students have shown their discontent with the new policy on social media and called for different solutions to lower cell phone distractions. Moberly's new policy will give parents the options to call the front office if they need to send a message. Oh, how's that going to work?
The office is going to get real sick of that real fast.
That's not going to work. And I haven't hung out in a school since, when did I drop out? Sophomore year or junior year? I haven't hung out in a school since, and I didn't drop out, by the way. I want to be very factual here. I didn't drop out. I just didn't go back one summer. Got my GED, got scholarship money, went to Southeast Missouri State University. You can do it too. As a matter of fact, if I knew now what I knew then, I would have dropped out of high school. I wouldn't have even went to high school. I was smart. I was a brilliant kid. I would have taken my GED in the 8th grade, skipped high school, and then played professional football.
Perfect. So is that the concern? The concern is just distraction during the school day?
I think that's what it's been. And as I seem to recall, there was recently in Rolla, they enacted a policy like that.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah, And again, I've heard complaints on and off, not specifically about Moberly, that some of the kids in some of these schools are texting, and they're not paying attention. I have heard that. I've heard that.
Do your kids have cell phones?
No.
Do you have like a predetermined age? Like, okay, whenever you get this age, we'll get you a cell phone. Is it an age or is it kind of a maturity thing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten there yet. They don't spend a lot of time away from us, so we haven't. I'm trying to hold out as long as I can. The 10-year-old has already told me that some people have cell phones, but we haven't had that fight yet. But I will say, and I kind of feel the same way about the schools, they all have iPads. And so they can use iPads to message their friends. They can video call their friends from their iPads with our approval. And they can distract themselves with their iPads. And so like anything an iPhone can do, really, they can do on their iPads, which is interesting because I think, I find it interesting how much they use electronics even at Southern Boone, and they'll tell me we were on our computers, and we have our Chromebooks and we do this, and so the school gives them these electronics. So I think it's weird, and I assume it's the same in Moberly. I assume it's in all schools, and in order to be a functioning adult now, you have to be able to use an electronic device. And so, saying, hey, I'm going to take away your cell phone, but here's a different electronic device. And kids are smart. I mean, we didn't have cell phones when I was in, and you know what we did?
We survived, Steph.
No, we turned our TI-83 calculator into like a video game machine. There were all sorts of weird, like Snake, and there was like this Drug Wars game. I think there was the Oregon Trail, and it was like pixelated on the calculator, and that's how we entertained ourselves. Kids will find ways to be distracted.
Yeah.
Well, and this rule is not going to be able to be enforced because all it's going to do is make the students sneakier about when and where they're using their phone.
All right.
They're going to go to the bathroom or the locker room or whatever.
They've also banned cheating in school, and
well, and right now we've gone from a phone that you had to carry around in a bag that weighed 40 pounds to a phone that fits in your pocket to now, basically my Apple Watch can do most things my phone does, and the glasses thing is coming back. So now what? They're going to be like, no glasses, kids. Sorry, you can't see, because they have those tech glasses now that you can play music and you can, I don't know, do other things. I'm old, so I don't know exactly, but.
Off the text, 874-9390. Oh, no, the kids won't be allowed to have a distracting device with them at their desk. You know what happens if I take my phone or smart device into my workplace? It gets destroyed. Wow, this guy is a job. We're talking about kids in school. I love you, Nathan. 874-9390. As a teacher, it is very much a distraction for the kids during class. Here's two things, but you go first.
I was going to say, all through high school, your teachers are like, you're not going to get away with XYZ in college. You're not going to get away with this in college. And then I went to school, and I think in my 3.5 years at Mizzou, I maybe had 2 classes total where devices weren't allowed. Like, it's just, the professors in college don't care if you're sitting there texting during their lecture. Like, they get paid regardless. And ultimately, it's on you to take the responsibility to pay attention or to not pay attention.
As a parent, I wonder what you would think. 874-9390 is how you can reach out and text us. Or if you want, you can do it the old-fashioned way and call, as long as you're not in a Moberly school building right now with a phone. 2 things. Number 1, Hannah very likely would not be a part of Wake Up Columbia if Centralia High School did not allow cell phones in the classroom, because that's how...
I never said that they allowed them, okay?
See, and Hannah got away with it. And you know what happened? Because Hannah potentially broke the rules, and she had a cell phone in her school, in Centralia High School. She broke the rules and had a phone, and because of that, she now has a very fruitful career surrounded by some very intelligent and talented people.
I'm surrounded by a bunch of fruits.
874-9390. And don't let me forget my other point. David, welcome into the show. What can we do for you, man?
Well, good morning to you. Hey, I'm kind of in agreement with the cell phone being a distraction, but here's the problem. The teachers did the same thing, because I went in there one day and to visit my stepdaughter, and the teacher was in there texting just as much as the kids. So what good is a teacher when he's doing the same thing as the students? So they need to be just held accountable as the students on that situation.
David, thank you for the phone call. We appreciate you being a member of the Wake Up Columbia family. You know what was the biggest distraction for me when I was in school?
Yourself?
And girls, and the schoolwork. Everything's a distraction. I get it with the cell phones. There's the games and all that stuff. But I wonder, how do parents feel about that? And you contrast that. Listen to some of those 911 phone calls that have come out of schools during emergencies. Listen to those, and then I wonder how you would feel about your kid not being allowed to have, or even a smartwatch. They're not going to allow these. That's not starting this school year, not 2021, 2022. It'd be 22, 23.
Isn't that this coming school year?
What year is this?
This is 2022, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. It is this coming.
You said that earlier, and I'm sitting here going,
Well, and let's find ways to engage kids to where they don't feel like they need to be distracted. And you can say, like, oh, it's an addiction and it's going to be anything. But, like, I'm as addicted to my phone as anybody. I'll admit it.
Yeah, Hannah and I have fact-checked that. We have run that
I
through
have zero room to talk.
through the Ministry of Truth.
But have you ever had one of those nights where, like, you go to dinner or you go do something and, like, literally you get to the end of the night and you're like, I have no pictures. I posted nothing. But it was so good. Like, I was having such an intense conversation, such a great dinner, such a fun experience that I didn't even think to pick up my phone. So coming from someone who's addicted, there are ways to engage people.
Have you ever done this too? Like exactly what you're talking about. And people sometimes, don't you want to take pictures of this? Yeah, I'll take pictures of the mountains. I'll take pictures of the grandkids. But I want to sit here and enjoy the moment. And I do. I put a lot of value in pictures.
You know what one of my pet peeves is? Is when people at concerts video the whole freaking thing on their phones. It's like, okay, maybe take 1 or 2 videos and post it on your Snapchat story. I don't need to see the whole concert on your Snapchat story.
I'm a little bit guilty of this.
Yeah, because the sound quality is...
Right.
And you were there. It's great because you were there, but to people watching it, it's kind of like...
And if you've ever taken a long video at a concert, truthfully, how many times have you ever gone back to watch that video after you left the concert?
Hey, you want to go back and watch the Kenny Chesney concert from Riverport Amphitheater?
I do love reliving a good concert. I'll do it for a couple weeks. Like, I will go back and play some of the videos. Honestly.
To fact check Stephanie's statement about her being weird about... No, you didn't say you were weird. You were
guilty.
Here's what I think, and then we got to get moving forward here. Here's why I think it is. Not specifically Moberly, but I think with any school district that wants to ban... Well, let's do this because I do have to get going. I'll add that. I think there's a bigger reason. I think there's something bigger happening here. We'll do that 5 minutes from now here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9 The Eagle. Listen, they don't just come in and put in a roof, because there are a lot of folks that go in and they can put in a roof. But I want to tell you what Hodges Roofing and Siding does. If you're looking for a local, reliable roofer, listen, Greg Hodges has been doing this since the 70s, and you're going to the right place when you go to HodgesRoofingandSiding.com. So it's not just they tear up the old shingles and tar paper and put the new stuff down. They will check everything out. You know how much when you're investing in a new roof, it's a hefty investment. While you're down there, hey, why don't you check out the other stuff? Check out what's underneath the roof. And that's one of the things they do. Hodges Roofing and Siding. And to boot, Greg will help you with any insurance paperwork. Hodges Roofing and Siding. See some of their work at HodgesRoofingandSiding.com.
Download the 93.9 The Eagle app and listen to Wake Up Columbia everywhere. It's easy to do. Geez, even Branden figured it out. 93.9 The Eagle.
And understand what happened in that context, but I also think that we need to take very seriously that whoa, guys.
Our camera fell down. Oh.
CNN's Jake Tapper. By the way, going after one of the White House advisors. His name is Brian Deese. And Brian, they're talking about the baby formula shortage. And Jake Tapper is going, but Pete, you guys told Joe about this and nothing happened. And he's trying to, and it was a pretty good exchange. I mean, CNN's Jake Tapper, and we're seeing more of this from CNN and MSNBC. They can't hide the inadequacies of the administration anymore. They're going after these people, and in the midst of it, the camera just collapsed. Kind of funny. Welcome into the show. Glad you could be here. Moberly School District. They're implementing a no cell phone, no smartwatch policy when kids go back to school in September. They have to leave their cell phones and smartwatches behind. And so, and by the way, in the meeting which they voted on this was May 24th. You know what else happened on May 24th? And I have grandkids in school, but I wonder how local parents feel about that. Moberly School District saying, yeah, no cell phones in the classrooms. I get it's a distraction. It's a distraction here on the show. We talk about what's happening in schools. If you were, and you can go and fact check me on this, you can go and watch on YouTube, 93.9 The Eagle, and you can see how often all of us here are on our cell phones in the middle of the show, and I'm talking about that one and that one over there. Mm-hmm. So they're distractions.
Just us two.
What about a Fitbit? Do you think that is like banned? Because like kids, I mean, there's been lots of initiatives lately to get kids on the move, and that's, I mean, I use my Apple Watch mainly for like working out.
Yeah.
Stephanie found a loophole.
That's what good attorneys do. I wonder if it's this. Here's the thing that would really concern me. Look at how much we have learned about what happens, what's being taught in schools from kids taking video of their teachers, whether it's trying to force their agenda regarding gender identity, whether it's teachers' video and audio of teachers telling little white kids you're inferior and it's your fault that black people are in whatever situation we envision it to be. How many videos and how many pieces of audio have we caught from kids' cell phones in the classrooms that really over the past 2 years, besides with the government shutting schools down because of COVID and when the world was coming to an end, COVID didn't shut schools or businesses down. COVID did not do that. Government did that. Elected officials did that. Don't be fooled for a second. And I'm wondering, and I'm not going after Moberly School District here specifically, but school districts across America, because this is something that's happening more and more often. I wonder, these school boards who are voting to say no phones, what a hindrance that could be. What have we discovered because of what has been captured by kids' cell phones? Video and audio, and now these elected arrogant school board members really all across America, they don't want that kind of stuff happening anymore, because you know what happens then parents come to the meetings and call out the school board members, and they don't like it because they don't like anybody that disagrees with them, and that's the way that they think. Okay, so is pothole season about over? Good. Go to Gap's Automotive Repair. There's still some stragglers out there, I know, and hopefully MoDOT County road crews are working on that. But now would be a good time, now that we're into the calendar start of summer. Go to Gap's Automotive Repair Shop and get a pothole inspection. They'll just check things out and say, hey, yeah, this looks good, or you're fine, or, oh, yeah, it looks like you could use some alignment. You've got this damage. And here's the thing with Gap's, and this is why I love Gap's. Let's say you go into Gap's Automotive Repair Shop on Vandiver in Columbia, right down the street from Whit Print Shop. Let's say you go there and you get the pothole inspection. They're saying, yeah, you're going to need these repairs. And you know what you can do? You can say, okay, well, can you show me that? Because they want you to be comfortable in the work you're doing. How many of us know the stories of somebody going to a mechanic, you need this work done, and you don't get to really look and see? That's what they let you do. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop in Columbia and in Booneville.
70 years on the throne. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. England's Queen Elizabeth II, joined by her son Prince Charles, the next king, and other members of the royal family on the balcony of Buckingham Palace during a parade celebrating her Platinum Jubilee. It's 4 days of events and a 4-day holiday weekend in Great Britain. A mass murder-suicide at a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Deputy Chief Eric Dalglish says this incident claimed a total of 5 lives.
Yes, 4 innocents, 1 shooter.
He said the shooter had 2 weapons, a rifle and a handgun. The shooting lasted just a few minutes.
Fox's Gernal Scott, no word on a possible motive. The Biden administration is forgiving $5.8 billion in student loan debt for people who attended the for-profit Corinthian Colleges chain, now out of business.
That adds up to more than 560,000 borrowers and closes one of the most notorious cases of fraud in American higher education. An investigation found that many of Corinthian's campuses were falsifying data on the success of their graduates, with the company also falsely telling students their course credits could be transferred to other colleges, prompting a crackdown on for-profit colleges. It comes as the president considers a broader student loan forgiveness plan. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Former President Trump, speaking to Fox's Brooks Singman, reacts to the acquittal of an attorney accused of lying to the FBI by not disclosing ties to Hillary Clinton's campaign when he turned over information about the Trump Organization and a Russian bank.
Trump exclusively telling me he's feeling motivated, even hinting at a 2024 White House run. He says, quote, if anything, it makes me want to fight even harder.
The Bureau says the information Michael Sussman had turned out to be nothing. John Hinckley Jr., who shot President Reagan in 1981, is saying thank you on Twitter to the people who helped him win freedom from all court oversight. That takes effect June 15th. He was confined to a mental hospital in D.C. for more than 2 decades after a jury found him not guilty by reason of insanity in shooting Reagan. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're living with aches and pains, especially if they're frequent and nagging and relentless, I want you to take a moment and think back to the last time you really felt good. Can you even remember what it felt like? Now, here's even a more important question. What would you give to go back to feeling like that again? Maybe it would just be nice to take a stroll with your loved one or play with your grandchildren. I've suffered from persistent, crippling pain almost all the time for about 5 years. When I started taking Relief Factor, I took it because my wife made me start taking it. I didn't think it would work for me. Yet here I am today, virtually pain-free, doing the things I love to do, all thanks to my wonderful wife and Relief Factor. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Are you part of that 70% that can get your life back? Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be to order the 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Find out more about this offer. Feel the difference. ReliefFactor.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 7:03. Robinson saves you time. 74 is what we're expecting today for a high. It's going to be sunny right now. Clear skies. 57 here in Columbia. It's 55 degrees in Jefferson City. Pleasant conditions today. It's going to be clear tonight with a low near 53. Another nice day on Friday. Finally getting some dry time, sunny, and a high of 80 degrees. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you. In this 7 o'clock hour, one of the main themes the Columbia City manager will be emphasizing during his State of the City address here in a few hours this morning is staffing, including the issue of recruitment of city employees. DeCarlin Seawood will speak at 11 o'clock at City Hall. One of his top priorities in Columbia has been staff in pay. The council last month approving a 3% across-the-board pay raise for permanent city employees. The council also approving a $1,500 one-time retention payment to permanent employees who have been with the city of Columbia since March 2020. Columbia spokesperson Sydney Olson tells 93.9 The Eagle that Mr. Seawood will also discuss the city's strategic plan this morning. It's tied to the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And again, that will be at 11 o'clock today. That will be open to the public and to reporters at City Hall. That will be in the council chambers. Meantime, one of Columbia's largest healthcare providers and one of the largest employers will be celebrating its 50th anniversary this morning with a ceremony.
Harry Truman Memorial Veterans Hospital in Columbia opened in 1972. A 10 o'clock ceremony will take place near the hospital's main entrance. Hospital officials will also showcase a time capsule commemorating the 50th anniversary and the work they do at Truman VA. Don Luzader, Zimmer News Network.
All right, Don, thank you. More than 15 Columbia area employers are subcontracting right now with the Central Missouri Subcontracting Enterprises. That is known as CMSE. They do assembly work, and they also do pricing and labeling, packing, other duties. About 100 individuals with disabilities work at their plant, which is on South Bearfield here in Columbia. Executive Director Bruce Young says the employees love to work, and he's encouraging other mid-Missouri businesses to contact him if they need help.
The employees we have, some of them may not work at quite as fast as other workers or that kind of thing, but they are hard workers, and we can just do about any type of job you want. And I would ask, if you've got work, give us a holler, come look at what we've got, and I'm sure we can help you.
CMSE employees perform a number of duties. Some bag and pack, others are making stethoscope replacement kits, and others are making door frames as well. Others make mouse traps. There's a lot of various activities. The plant has $2 million in state-of-the-art equipment. Interested companies can contact Mr. Young at the facility. A Columbia woman remains jailed without bond this morning after crashing her car Sunday morning on the business loop with 3 children inside. Our news partner, ABC 17 News, is reporting that Gabrielle Harris is charged with driving while intoxicated in 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. One witness tells KMIZ there was glass everywhere after the crash. Reporter Marina Diaz reporting the quote documents, quote, a witness is saying Harris had been in an argument with a man before this crash. Again, that happened on the business loop, jailed without bond. And about 45 to 50% of Columbia Public School students qualify for free or reduced price lunch. Veterans United Foundation President Eric Moore says that while Columbia has a lot of needs, it also has many caring people who have resources and many who have the heart to help.
I'm getting very excited about what I think is going to be the next couple of years of some very significant positive changes in upward economic mobility that I think are going to change the future of our community forever.
That's Mr. Morris. VU recently held a book fair at Shepherd Boulevard Elementary. Each of the school's 500 students brought 2 new books home for the summer. Our news is brought to you in the 7 o'clock hour by the Candy Factory in downtown Columbia. They now make their chocolate-covered strawberries fresh every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, year-round. Learn more, thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, as we take a look at what we've got right now, we'll start with the Cardinals. We are your home for Cardinal baseball here in mid-Missouri, 93.9. The Cardinals beat the Padres Wednesday at Busch Stadium, sweeping the 3-game series. They win it 5-2. Arenado with a big home run for the Cardinals. He had 3 RBIs. Yepes had 2 RBIs, including a sacrifice fly. The Cardinals now 29-22, 2 back behind the Brewers in the National League Central. 5-game series coming up. The Cardinals in Wrigley Field, the friendly confines, as Jennings Randolph used to say. They'll take on the Cubs. First pitch 7:05, 93.9 The Eagle. Cleveland beat the Royals 4-0 Wednesday. Connor Pilkington, 8 strikeouts for the Guardians during the win. Royals are idle today. Columbia's Father Tolton High School plays for the Class 3 state championship game today. Came from behind. They beat Lawson. They play Springfield Catholic 7 o'clock tonight for the championship. And Southern Boone beat Marshall yesterday 6-5 Class 4 semifinal game. A.J. Evans had the game-winning hit. The Eagles playing Logan Rogersville for the state championship game today in Ozark. So 2 mid-Missouri teams have won baseball titles. 2 more with an opportunity to win it today. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. All right, John, thanks so much, and good work this morning on television with Megan. We appreciate you. Clear skies, 58. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. It is 7:09. Our roads are pretty quiet, at least right now in mid-Missouri. Hopefully that will continue. If you see a traffic incident or something we need to know about, you can call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, the 93.9 The Eagle.
for him because I love him. I've loved him since Nightmare on Elm Street.
Justice is finally going to happen to him, and I'm just so happy for him. This is new beginnings for him. This is the start of a new chapter.
We love you, Johnny. We can't wait for you to be successful in the future, and may you heal from all this trauma that she gave you.
To be honest, I've been very happy that and excited that justice for Johnny is already here.
So that's fangirling stuff. That's all that is. Those people outside the courthouse when the verdict yesterday delivered in favor of Johnny Depp. This was a defamation case. And by the way, there's something way more important to this because I know a lot of folks about, well, who cares? It's Hollywood stuff. In my mind, it is well beyond. It's not just about Hollywood. Some very important things have happened in this trial. I want to get into that. But basically, Amber Heard wrote a letter, and I wonder how much at fault was it the New York Times or the Washington Post who printed this op-ed, and she was talking about this guy never named Johnny Depp, but you knew who it was, and basically defamed him, and he said this is BS, and he had problems after that op-ed was published. People didn't know who it was.
Yeah, they knew who it was, and he lost out on some shows. He was already booked to be in one or two, and they canceled those. And then he said, his prospects going forward were also hurt.
So he called BS. And instead of rolling over like most people do, especially men, because what happens when a woman accuses you of something? Boom, you're done. You're guilty. That's the truth. That's the truth. He said, no, I want the truth to be out there. He wins his court case yesterday, and basically he basically wins, and then Amber Heard, or Johnny Depp's attorney, said something about Amber Heard. She gets a little bit of money for that, but I think it's very important. Wanted to bring in a good friend of mine, Mark Goldman, managing partner at Goldman, McCormick, Public Relations in NYC. This guy works in this kind of stuff all the time. Mark, welcome into the show, but I want to ask you first, besides the glitz and the glamour and, a maid on each level of the mansion and this money and that money in your mind, you've got your fingers in Hollywood all the time. Why was this such an important case? Why did we pay attention?
You know what? First of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. I love being on all of your shows, Branden. Secondly, you know what? This is such an important case because, like you said, Johnny Depp was standing up for himself, standing up for mankind, and more importantly, standing up for his kids to show him that he can't be, pushed around. Very important.
Well, and the other thing that we've been watching is the reaction. I want to play some of this for you real quick, Mark. This is Caroline Polisi, MSNBC.
Without a doubt, this will have a massive chilling effect on the Me Too movement, on women speaking out.
This will have a chilling effect. She's distraught, this woman on MSNBC is. This is going to have a chilling effect on the Me Too movement. But what about the guys that are falsely accused? And I think that's the bigger issue here, Mark.
You know what? I agree with you. It's a very, very important issue. And I'm glad that Johnny Depp came out, and I think more men will come out and not, be behind the court system. As far as the Me Too movement goes, you know what? I think there will always be domestic violence victims and victims, women's issues and whatever else, and I hope they still come out. I think everybody who is a victim really needs to come out, let people know about their situations, and, let it go to court or court of public opinion or whatever it might be. Very, very important.
And then it's also important that when you get accused of something that you haven't done, you stand up for the truth, because you are immediate. Just when you get accused of something, you're a guy, she's a chick, and if you even dare question the female who makes the accusations, oh, you've got to always believe the victim. Well, it's complete and utter BS, and we've been saying it for a long time. Yeah, a lot of times it is true, but it's not true every time, and it can be so damaging to people. Mark Goldman.
And you know what? Johnny Depp actually said, I don't need the money. I don't want the money. This is not about the money. And that's a wonderful thing, a great statement he made there.
And I do love that Johnny Depp has millions and millions of dollars. $10 million net gain from the trial, whatever it's going to be. That's nothing. I mean, it's a pittance. It's a cup of coffee for probably most of us working Joe Schmoes here in mid-Missouri this morning. Mark Goldman, managing partner, Goldman McCormick Public Relations in New York City. I want to start, and since you're in public relations and you've helped me out professionally in the past, I'm thinking about something like this. What if we did a hashtag #US2 movement for dudes?
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
We market it. Hannah's
you know what? I think you're genius. And as I always have, as you're well aware of that.
Hannah,
that's great. That's great.
Hannah, the producer, how come you don't like the idea?
It's just such a dude thing to say, well, what about us?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I disagree with the argument you're making. It's just it cracks me up a little bit.
Okay. So as a female,
You know what?
Hannah's
I think,
triggered by that.
For the average Joe going through this, what about us is great. For somebody like Harvey Weinstein, not so great.
Right. Because, listen, and I didn't tell this story for years, but when I was in Florida, I had a horrible experience. I was new in the building at a group of radio stations, and there was a gal on the country show, and she was, legendary in that town. And we hung out a little bit, and I decided I didn't want to hang out with her anymore. And I'll tell you why I didn't tell the story. 2 reasons. Number one, because guys, so you were sexually harassed at work? I bet that was awesome. Ha, 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 ha. And it wasn't, Mark, it was the worst thing I ever went through in my life. And here's why. It was the power that this woman had over me in the workplace. As a new guy in the workplace going up, a legend in Pensacola, Florida, I was in a no-win situation, and she lied. But you know who people believed? Because she had more name recognition in town, they believed every single thing this woman said, and I cannot begin to put into words the pain and the anguish that caused me for 3 months. It was horrible. Hashtag #US2. Younger kids, though, it seems like Stephanie and I are always big, messaging the American message to a younger generation of people. What do you know about younger people? Okay, so they're tuning in to watch the Hollywood aspect of the trial, but it was news. Do you think there's maybe a correlation? Hey, these younger folks, maybe they might gravitate towards some news that matters and affects their lives.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. And this was, as you know, huge on social media. There was actually a media platform called Newswhip, that came out a few weeks ago, that Americans cared more about Johnny Depp trial than they do about war, abortion, or inflation.
Yep.
And, there was so much social media going on. There were images, there were memes. The young people were getting involved, which was amazing. They got their heads out of their video games, and they started watching this trial and analyzing Amber Heard's faces and, emotions and whatever else. I think, I agree. It's a wonderful thing, and hopefully more of these young people get interested in the law and maybe a little less about Hollywood.
Exactly. And here's the other thing. I think, okay, so maybe they're catching clips on social media, the news thing, and then right after that there's a story that has something to do that affects their pocketbook, for example. And maybe they start paying attention. That's why I love that stuff. All right, let's get on to some of the sexy stuff of the trial before I let you go. This had, in my mind, one of the highlights.
Found the fecal delivery and saying that it was the dogs. And I could not agree with her. I'd lived with those dogs. I'd picked up their fun.
And so Amber Heard allegedly defecated on the bed, tried to blame it on the Yorkshire Terrier. And I'm kind of being serious and kind of being facetious. In the years that you have worked in the Hollywood industry, have you ever heard a more delicious moment in when it comes to celebrities? God.
You know what? I actually worked at Court TV about 15 years ago, and we dealt a lot with these crazy, crazy cases from, Anna Nicole Smith to Michael Jackson to OJ to a bunch of these different cases, and this was by far the craziest statement I've ever heard in my life. In fact, I was on pins and needles with a verdict yesterday. I think this is bigger than the OJ verdict many years ago.
Let me tell you this. So yesterday I'm at the gym, and I get in this group text with Hannah and Stephanie. And guess what? Right. They start texting, verdict's going to be released at 2 o'clock. Verdict's going to be released at 2 o'clock. It was crazy. So I know there was a lot of excitement. But again, I want to go back to, because, yeah, this is a lot of fun stuff, but I think it is also important. As a matter of fact, off the text, 874-9390, Stacy just texted us, said, I did see on Twitter, hashtag men too. I love it. Mark Goldman, I love, we finally have a story where our professional paths have crossed again that's worthwhile.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate what you're doing. Mark Goldman, managing partner, Goldman McCormick Public Relations in New York City. Tell the wife and kids I said hello. Always a pleasure chatting with you, man.
Thank you. Always a pleasure with you guys as well.
All right. Thank you so much, man. What a cool dude. Coming up, 7:35, Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey is going to be here, talk about various things as it relates to law enforcement. I thought this was interesting. So we've given very little attention because it comes out every year. It says the same thing, and people don't understand the traffic stop report. Traffic stop. Oh, my gosh, black people get pulled over more. And it's a losing argument. But I thought it was interesting. Our good friends at ABC 17 were talking to a professor of urban studies at UMSL. And one of the things he is talking about, he's like, hey, police recruitment, everybody's having a tough time recruiting any kind of talent, regardless of the field right now. But I thought this was interesting.
Some of this is not unexpected. We have these indelible perceptions that continued over time, and we're still dealing with some of the lingering remnants of that, and that includes the perception of black people.
So he's saying, which to me almost, there's a perception among everybody else of black people, but this is the one that really got me.
The next step, I would say, is how do we increase the population of law enforcers to be more representative of the communities in which they serve?
So he said, why don't we increase the number, in effect, of black people in law enforcement? And that can go without comment. You know where I'm going with this. Coming up, we're going to be doing What's Hot with Hannah. What's hot today, Hannah?
We're celebrating a Feel Good Friday a day early with a Feel Good Friday story on a Thursday.
That works, kiddo. I'm taking it.
It'll work.
What's hot with Hannah?
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. It's what happens when you let emotionally unbalanced people play in a room full of microphones. 93.9, The Eagle.
Bottom of the seventh, 2 outs. Marshall up 5-3. Bradley Smith rips one through right center. 1 run comes home, and here comes the second. That ties the ball game at 5. And in the 11th inning, Soboco walks it off. What an insane comeback. Eagles win it 6-5 in extras to advance to a Class 4 state championship against Logan Rogersville.
Chanel Porter, ABC 17. By the way, she did news transition to sports. I think that's really cool. What a big game yesterday. Southern Boone, 11 innings, squeaking by for a win. Championship game is at today.
Today.
All right, so we're pulling for the folks. Southern Boone, let's go, guys. Right now, 7:25-ish, which means it's
still 7:28.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
It's only Thursday, but who said we can't celebrate Feel Good Friday a day early?
I hear you, sister.
And this story has a sad start. It's about a 6th grader who kind of got bullied throughout the school year, and it came time to sign yearbooks at the end of the year. You remember getting your yearbook, and it was a big thing to, get all the signatures from your friends.
BFF, best friends forever.
Yeah, keep in touch this summer.
RMA, remember me always.
Oh, jeez. Well, this 6th grader, Brody, he only got, 2 kids to sign his yearbook. Nobody would sign it. He was asking people, and they were telling him no. And he came home heartbroken. He even wrote in his yearbook, "Hey, Brody, you need to make more friends." And his mom posted this on Facebook, and it kind of got a little bit of traction in their community. And some high school students got a hold of it, and they found Brody. They'd never met this kid before, and he got over 100 signatures from high school students in his community.
Man, you're going to make me cry with sadness and happiness at the same time. I must be getting old. I'm getting all up in my...
You're in your feels.
I love the thing where people are like, I'm pleased at age 40 to inform all of my high school friends that I indeed did stay cool. Because everyone says stay cool.
Points for Stephanie Bell. She's one of the winners tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday, 8:35. Another Feel Good Friday off the text. Somebody celebrating 1 year of sobriety today. Kudos. Sheriff Dwayne Carey's here 5 minutes from now.
News. I'm Lillian Wu. The UK celebrates the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Queen Elizabeth II cheered as she appears on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, flanked by working members of the royal family, which include Prince Charles and wife Camilla, Prince William, Kate Middleton, and their children. And the Biden administration is erasing nearly $6 billion in student loan debt for anyone who attended the now collapsed Corinthian Colleges chain.
That adds up to more than 560,000 borrowers and closes one of the most notorious cases of fraud in American higher education. An investigation found that many of Corinthian's campuses were falsifying data on the success of their graduates, with the company also falsely telling students their course credits could be transferred to other colleges.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 7:31 and Robinson saves you time. 59 right now. In Columbia, it's 58 degrees. In Jefferson City, we're expecting a high today of around 77 degrees. Good morning. I'm Brian Hauswirth. Columbia City Manager delivers his first State of the City address this morning at City Hall in about 3.5 hours. to Carlin Seawood speaks at 11 in the council chambers. City spokesperson Sydney Olson tells 93.9 The Eagle Mr. Seawood will outline some big projects and successes in the past year. He'll also talk about priorities for staffing. That event is open to the public. Missouri State Troopers are looking for witnesses to a deadly officer-involved shooting.
The officer-involved shooting happened Sunday night in Sedalia. Police there were called out to a home on West Broadway Boulevard after reports with a man with a gun in a yard. Officers tried to talk to the suspect. That's when he started shooting. One of the Sedalia officers returned fire and hit the suspect. Dead man identified as 22-year-old Mason Moore. Highway Patrol is asking for any witnesses who may have seen this shooting. John Marsh, Zimmer News Network.
Boone County prosecutors charging a Columbia woman with DWI, 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child after a crash with 3 children in the vehicle on Sunday on the business loop. She is identified as Gabrielle Harris. Our news partner ABC 17 reports she is jailed without bond. And VU and some others here in Columbia exploring the issue of economic mobility in town. They're optimistic. They believe there'll be significant positive changes in the next few years. Our news is brought to you in the 7 o'clock hour by WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 7:33. In sports, let's start this hour with high school baseball. We've already had 2 Mid-Missouri teams win state championships in baseball, which is incredible. Potentially, there could be as 3 or 4 if 2 win today. Father Tolton will be playing tonight, high school baseball Class 3 championship game. They beat Lawson yesterday, came from behind. They were down 3-0, they come from behind, beat Lawson 6-3. They'll play Springfield Catholic, another perennial power for the championship tonight. That game will be at 7 o'clock. Springfield Catholic beat Valley Park 11-0. Southern Boone, another team that came from behind. They beat Marshall yesterday 6-5, 11 innings in the Class 4 semifinal game. A.J. Evans had the game-winning hit in the 11th inning. Eagles play Logan Rogersville for the state championship in Class 4. That game will be today at 1 in Ozark in southwest Missouri. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Our roads right now are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately and a live interview with our Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey comes your way next. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
The next step, I would say, is how do we increase the population of law enforcers to be more representative of the communities in which they serve.
Jerome Morris, Professor, UMSL, Urban Studies, talking to our good friends at ABC 17, talking about this thing that's a story every year, traffic reports. These black people get pulled over more often than white people, and it's disproportionate compared to the number of black people that live in town. And I would challenge you, 7:35 in the morning. You're looking at the car in front of you. Can you tell what the race or what the gender is of the people in the car in front of you? I think it's complete and utter BS. And let me tell you why it's BS. A lot of news outlets, no matter where you are in America, they love this story because, oh, look, see, there's more racism. Let me tell you a story. Several years ago, Jeff Jones just become police chief, I think. And they were doing kind of a presser on the latest traffic report numbers. And I'm there with all these TV people and the college kids and the Missourian and the Columbia Daily Tribune, and everybody's asking questions, well, the blacks and how come this? And Jeff Jones is politely explaining facts to these people. And I said, Chief Jeff Jones, what about the disparity between men and women that get pulled over? Columbia is roughly 50-50, yet men are pulled over at a rate 65% higher than women. And you know what happened in that room, Sheriff? Silence. Point had been made. It's ridiculous. But what about, here's the thing that I found with this guy's comment. We need to recruit more black people to be in law enforcement. What are black people for the most part? And I hate to stereotype, I'm a 51-year-old white guy. Race is my least favorite thing to talk about. These kids grow up stereotypically in a lot of neighborhoods where they are taught to hate the police. Hate the police, though police are the enemy. And this guy's saying we need to recruit more of those people to be law enforcement. As somebody in law enforcement who's been the sheriff in Boone County for some 20 years now, how do you react to something like that?
Well, that would be stereotypical, that statement. No, we recruit now everywhere, because all law enforcement is having a hard time finding qualified applicants. And we really don't care race, gender. I mean, none of that matters to us. We're looking for qualified people that will fit nicely within our team. And that's all that you're looking for, right? So, as far as the traffic stop numbers, one of the things that we did during COVID, because this becomes a topic every year when the AG releases the numbers, we built dashboards for not only the command staff, but also for our frontline leadership. And so when you're looking at the traffic stops, we are drilling down into each traffic stop. So we've got some technology people, and I'm not a big technology guy, but we've got people that have built these dashboards to where every morning when I go in, I pull up. I've got a big screen instead of just a small computer screen, and I can pull these dashboards up, and so I can look at where we're making the traffic stops, which deputies are making those traffic stops. So it gives me red hot spots. So like your Lake of the Woods area, right? It's going to always be a hot spot area. Prathersville area is always a hot spot area. City of Columbia, for our folks, we do a lot of car stops in the city of Columbia. But the interesting thing about it is what we are doing now is we have asked the deputies for a full year. So we started this really late 2020, but all of 2021 we have these numbers where the deputy has to tell us whether they knew the race of the driver before they initiated the car stop. And 85% of the time, they don't know the race of the driver. And so I think that's a point that's often missed on people. And so, again, if you're working in an area with higher demographic of a specific minority, you're going to stop more of those. And so it's interesting when you really look at the numbers and what each deputy's doing, what we're doing as an agency. And obviously, we're an accredited agency, right, on the jail side and on the enforcement side. In fact, we're getting ready to go through our annual assessment for accreditation in July. And so, I can say if we had an issue, this accreditation process is going to point it out. But every morning, I can look at what we're doing as an agency, and there's not an issue. Or if it was, I'd be addressing it, right? Now, the issue is I've got some guys and gals that aren't as productive as I want them to be because as I'm looking at their numbers, we're not making as many car stops as I want them to make.
So you have a quota?
No, we don't have a quota.
Okay.
But if I'm paying you for 10 hours, I expect 10 hours to work, right? And the people in this community, they want bad guys off the street, and that's our job is to go out and get after it. And so every morning I can see what's happened in the last 24 hours. I can see what's happened in the last 30 days. So I know who my really productive folks are. And then I know people that are doing enough to get by, and then it's our job as a command staff and frontline leadership to get them a little bit motivated to do more.
I'm pleased. Sheriff Dwayne Carey, Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey, joining us on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. I'm pleased to hear that you have stats regarding, did you know the race of the person you pull over beforehand? Because I've been saying this 7 years here, and any other town in America I've been in. You're driving right now. You're listening to Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. You look in the car in front of you. Can you tell the race of the person in front of you? Chances are that you can't.
I've been getting a lot of emails since the school shooting just about, involving Ashland, the city, and our city police department and what they can do to step up at the schools. Have you been contacted in the last couple of weeks? Are you talking to the schools more about what can be done? What's that conversation like?
So, the answer is yes. I've talked to a number of different people, including Chief Edwards down in Ashland. And obviously, Gabe and I go, way back. God, there's so many things to talk about with that. One, an SRO, a school resource officer in a school is not going to solve this problem, right? Even, and look at Ashland. They have a couple different buildings, right? You could have an SRO in one building. If something's happened in the other, it's still going to be a delayed response, right? But, Brian Lear did a really nice job, I think, in an interview with KMIZ. In fact, you and I text back and forth about that.
I thought it was great.
But, after Columbine, which was in, 99, I think? 99. That the model changed to where if we've only got one deputy there, that deputy is going to go in and neutralize that threat or do the best job of neutralizing the threat as the cavalry's coming. It's no longer the kumbaya outside, waiting, coming up with a plan. It's just we're going in. And so to answer your question, we train with the schools annually, our county schools. So last year, I think it was August, we were down at Southern Boone and went through our active shooter training. We have some folks that really do a nice job with that training. And so, for years and years and years, we had an SRO in the 4 county schools. And this goes back, and I don't want to bore people with a lot of this, but if you guys remember, Chris Belcher
Oh, yeah.
Belcher was the superintendent at Columbia Public Schools. They started paying CPD officers, and they didn't pay us. And so I said, well, our resources would be better spent in our county schools. So we went full-time. Then over time, as you have a hard time finding staffing, I have statutory requirements that I have to meet. And, of course, there's statutes that say that these school districts can go out and hire their own school resource officer. But, of course, they want to go through local law enforcement. And so I pulled out during COVID to get those school resource officers back out on the road. And then the arrangement that we've made, Centralia, for example, they have always provided their own school resource officer. Hallsville ended up, the superintendent there got into an agreement with the Hallsville Police Department to provide that SRO. And then Ashland was going to do the same, and I think Gabe's had issues with staffing as well. And then my responsibility was going to be to Sturgeon and Harrisburg, because neither one of those small municipalities have municipal agencies there. So that was kind of the deal that we've made. And so we have, we cover Sturgeon and Harrisburg, and then the small municipalities in Centralia, Hallsville, and Ashland are supposed to cover those school districts.
All right, I want to mention this real quick. We're hanging out with Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey. It's always cool when he comes in the studio, but you'd mentioned the comments that you and I have been talking about regarding Captain Brian Lear on ABC 17, so I wanted to play those comments real quick. This was following Uvalde.
Unfortunately, you can't prepare for everything, and unfortunately, there is evil in this world. There are people who want to do others harm, and we see that whenever tragedies like what we saw happen in Texas yesterday.
Captain Brian Lear, know him personally, incredibly caring, thoughtful individual, but also very realistic. Bad things happen, not to be dismissive, but that was what I appreciate. We do everything that we can, and I know that about the Boone County Sheriff's Department and all of our local law enforcement agencies, but being realistic, and I think that's what gets lost in things like these. Man, sometimes bad things happen.
Yeah, thank you, Branden. Sheriff, I'm going to ask you about a general topic, because I know you can't talk about a specific case. I believe it's in the city. We broke a story. No one else has reported this this week. I'm surprised. Hopefully they'll pick the story up, because it's a big deal. The Isaiah Jackson murder trial is being delayed. He's accused of killing 2 people during a dispute over fireworks at Grace and Volunteer. And the issue they're running into, and Spencer Smith, the prosecutor, told me this on the record, he cannot, and they have not been able to subpoena multiple essential witnesses, so he has had to delay the trial. And he said on the record, it is common in shootings for witnesses to come forward. So I'm not going to ask you specifically about that case, because that's going to go to trial, but that's kind of a big deal. What can be done in general? We know this sort of thing goes on. We know people are afraid to come forward. They fear retribution. There is no question about that. The governor's talked to me about it. What can be done to make people safe? Because we're having to delay a murder trial right now. Evidently, they don't feel safe because they haven't been able to get them to subpoena them.
I wish I had an answer for you, but there isn't one. I mean, so, and I teach for Columbia College online, Intro to Criminal Justice, and so what you just posed, I posed to my students, because oftentimes the textbook version to solve that problem is develop community-oriented policing. That's the end-all, be-all. If you're a COP agency, you're going to build trust in the community, and that's going to solve all those problems. That's not reality, unfortunately, because to your point, it's the fear of being next, right? You don't want to. If you live in a high crime area, or if people know that you're talking to law enforcement, you have the potential of being a victim, and so it's better just to stay out of it and then not be a part of it. And so I don't know that there's a solution. It's kind of like the ban on weapons. I've read a little bit about that, and I really try not to do media stuff at all. Denzel Washington said if you're if you're paying attention to the media, you're going to be misinformed, and if you don't, you're going to be uninformed. And I try to do a lot of research, my own research, just on more scholarly articles and studies such as that. But like the talk about the president's talked about even getting rid of 9mm. The genie's out of the bottle on the gun stuff, right? I mean, there's 20 million AR-15s out there. So, I went and did some looking. I know I'm getting a little bit off topic, but the problem is it's a lot of rhetoric, right? The way to fix stuff when the reality is you can't really fix it. I mean, if you're going to be true to yourself and to the people that you're talking to, like I hope people think that when I get on your radio show, but the reality is you can't fix this stuff. It's easy to talk about. Easy to talk about. Poverty, easy to talk about. Can't fix it, right? Lack of parenting in this society, easy to talk about. No one talks about it, actually, except for, seems like me. But
Very humble man, Sheriff Carey.
There's no, I mean, how often do you guys see anything in the media about the lack of parenting in society and the issues that we have basically with young people as they turn into adults? I mean, nobody talks about that.
It's something we did cover a little bit this week. Incidentally, it's a generational thing, and I don't want to get into a whole other topic because I want to take a quick break, but we have some questions off the text from Shelley, Gordon, and Paul. We have this guy. His name is Shelby Steele. Guy has medals of honor hanging around his neck for his work with civil rights over the years. Very decorated man. He was the guy who did the movie What Killed Michael Brown. Movie was originally going to be called Racism Killed Michael Brown, but it wasn't racism. Anyhow, had the guy on the show, and he said social programs back in the 60s created this generational thing. You don't worry, especially on the part of one political party. You don't worry about a thing. We'll take care of you. And they keep keeping people down. And now we have one school, I think in Chicago, they want a bell curve on grading for just black kids, which is it's got to be insulting to black people. It just blows me away. It's a generational thing. I want to say this, take a break, answer some of these questions. I want to thank you again so much. You give Brian Hauswirth and I the opportunity to tour the Boone County Jail. It is the work that happens there behind the scenes, what has to be done, and the way it's done for various reasons. It was an incredible visit, and I loved it because it was the first time I'd ever been in a jail and didn't have to give y'all money to get out of it. And I'm not lying. All right, Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey's hanging out with us. We'll come up. We'll wrap things up with some questions off of the text for the sheriff at 874-9390.
This show includes language and or cultural stereotypes that are inconsistent with today's standards of inclusion and tolerance and may offend some listeners. But not you. You get it. 93.9 The Eagle.
Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey hanging out with us here on Wake Up Columbia this morning. One of our listeners text 874-9390. Do you think that perps would be less likely to go into places that are known to have a school resource officer inside?
Boy, that's a hard thing to answer. I mean, they had an SRO down, I think, in Texas, if I remember. So, that's hard to answer. You just because each individual is going to be different, and so
recently, and I can't remember if this was at a City of Columbia meeting. By the way, Mayor Barbara Buffaloe is here at 8:10. It was a Columbia City Council meeting where they're talking about putting school resource officers in schools here, and a certain segment of the population, oh, you can't do that because that's intimidating to black kids in schools, and now they want them back in there.
And I talked about that last week internally in our office, but that was, 2 years ago, where SROs were deemed to be enforcement, and I think they were talking about like the pipeline from schools to prison, and then something like this happened. So, I've got to defend everyone in my industry because it is such a tough industry to be in. I mean, we're so armchair quarterbacked, and the hypocrisy that goes with so you're criticizing us for this, and so if we pull out, then something like this, tragic as it is, happens. And then now we're the bad guys again because we don't have, again, it's just you can't win.
And Missouri Congresswoman from St. Louis, Cori Bush, defund the police, do away with guns. Guess how much money she pays a year to protect herself, surround herself from law enforcement, and surround herself with guns. This from Stuart. Seems like I see a lot of expired temporary license plates. You guys pull people over for that?
We do. In fact, we talk about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I was telling you, I just saw a plate yesterday, a temp tag that was like 1.5 years old. So my guys are like starting to filter into the city just because, there's blood in the water for there's a lot of violations out there. And I don't like that either. Somebody was telling me that was part of COVID to where there was like an extension on that. And, those people need to get their vehicles registered. And yes, we do. We stop everybody. If it's a criminal violation by statute, we stop everybody.
Now, maybe after that, maybe there is some leeway. But yes, if you're breaking the law, breaking an ordinance, you should get pulled over.
If you look at our numbers, again, back to that dashboard, we release so many people on warnings. Hey, get this taken care of. But the problem is, 45 days later or 6 months later, you haven't addressed the problem. We're going to write you a summons.
Final question from Paul. Text 874-9390. Ask Carey when he orders pizza, what toppings does he like?
Sausage and breakfast bacon.
Sausage, mushroom, pepperoni, and extra cheese, and especially Ariz's pizza. I think it's called the Zeus Pizza, the best. Sheriff Carey, you got 20 seconds. Anything else you want to add?
Thanks for mentioning the jail. Those folks do a great job. Underappreciated, and it is a very, very tough job. Our services branch, again, they're going through kind of a CJIS, a criminal justice information system audit, and again, incredible job. I can't say enough about the folks that I have up there. They make our agency what it is.
911 operators, got to give them love too. Boone County Sheriff Dwayne Carey coming up. First couple of weeks in office for Columbia City Mayor Barbara Buffaloe. How's that going for her? She's here at 8:10. Hey, what's going on? I'm Branden for Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all, and they do everything. And here's why we do say one call does it all. So a lot of folks, oh yeah, Salter, they come in, they mow my yard 4 times a week, send me an invoice, and I pay the bill at the end of the month. But then you get into the fall time. Well, who's going to clean up this stuff? Who's going to rake the leaves? I don't want to do it. I would rather go to the Mizzou football game this weekend. Salter Lawn Service can do that for you, too. And then let's say you get into the winter. Well, I don't want to plow the driveway. I don't want to do this. Salter Lawn Service, they do that, too. And then we move into spring. It gets to be March and April, and you're looking out, boy, I could sure make this yard look nice. Or I could take that free time and do what I want to do. And I can hire Salter Lawn Service to do that. They do the tree. They do about everything. And here, I'll tell you, son, I don't know if Stacy and his wife Emily would be cool with this, but I'll tell you this. A lot of times when people show up and they're, a Salter and they're doing yard work, people will say, hey, can you also do this? And they say yes, because that's what they do at Salter Lawn Service.
Another 4 cents a gallon. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The average gasoline price now $4.71 a gallon nationwide, according to AAA. It's another record high. It was $4.60 a week ago, $4.19 a month ago, $3.04 a year ago.
Analysts expect that the price will continue to climb as demand grows during the summer travel season, and crude oil prices surpass $115 a barrel amid concerns of global supply constraints caused by a European Union ban on Russian oil. But the Wall Street Journal is reporting that OPEC is considering suspending Russia from its oil production deal, which would clear other oil-producing nations like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates to pump more crude oil. Some analysts say this would bring U.S. gas prices down, but not for several months from now.
Lydia Hu with Fox Business. The private sector had 128,000 jobs last month, according to the payroll processor ADP. That's fewer than expected. The Labor Department reports fewer new weekly unemployment claims. It's the start of a special 4-day holiday weekend in Great Britain, the Platinum Jubilee, celebrating Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne. The Queen made an appearance on the Buckingham Palace balcony during a parade and military flyover, joined by other members of the royal family. A group of senators met again, trying to come up with new gun laws with enough support to pass.
The House is working on legislation that may not see the light of day in the Senate. The House Judiciary Committee is holding an emergency session today to work on a bill creating a national red flag law. It would let authorities temporarily confiscate guns from those believed to be a threat. They also want to raise the age of being able to buy semi-automatic rifles to 21. In Washington, Jill Nato, Fox News.
No word on a motive for a mass shooting at a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A gunman killing 4 people, then himself. America's listening to Fox News.
Life is about being active. Whether it's about going on your daily tasks or exercising, you know you're well when you're regularly active. But what happens when being active actually hurts by the end of the day? This is the position I found myself in a number of years ago. Everything I wanted to do in my daily life, all of the activity it called for, was held captive to almost constant nagging pain. When I heard about Relief Factor, I was skeptical, but my wife said, give it a chance. Not long after I took it, I could feel the pain begin to melt away, and I've been taking it ever since. And I can tell you that Relief Factor has helped me get my life back. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be ordering a 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF, or ReliefFactor.com. Find out all about this offer and feel the difference.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03 and we have 59 degrees in Columbia. Partly sunny skies. We are expecting dry conditions today. Our high around 77. Tonight, clear skies, a low near 53. And the outlook for Friday, sunny with a high of 80 degrees. We have a chance to dry out almost an inch of rain, 0.99 inches of rain yesterday at Sanborn Field. We finally dry out right now. Good morning. Here's some of the stories we are working on in this 8 o'clock hour. I'm Brian Hauswirth. One of Columbia's largest employers and healthcare providers will be celebrating its 50th anniversary here in a few hours with a ceremony.
Harry Truman Memorial Veterans Hospital in Columbia opened in 1972. A 10 o'clock ceremony will take place near the hospital's main entrance. Hospital officials will also showcase a time capsule commemorating the 50th anniversary and the work they do at Truman VA. Don Luzader, Zimmer News Network.
That event is open to the public if you'd like to attend. A number of former employees who used to work there, including Barney Sword, will be at the event. Mr. Sword will be speaking. He worked there from 1974 to 1992. Many of you here in town know him. And again, that starts today at 10 o'clock right at the main entrance, Truman VA. About an hour after that, the Columbia State of the City address will be given by Columbia's new city manager, DeCarlin Seawood. 11 11 o'clock at City Hall. One of the main things he's going to talk about today is staffing and recruiting city employees. His top priority, at least one of them, has been city staff and pay. You'll recall last month, Columbia City Council did approve a 3% across-the-board pay raise for permanent city employees, and they approved a separate $1,500 one-time retention payment to permanent employees who have been with the city since March of 2020. Columbia spokesperson Sydney Olson tells 93.9 The Eagle Mr. Seawood will also discuss the city's strategic plan. We'll talk more about this, including some other issues with the city. Our Mayor Barbara Buffaloe joins us live right after this newscast. More than 15 Columbia area employers subcontracting with Central Missouri Subcontracting Enterprises to do assembly work, pricing and labeling, packing, other duties. About 100 individuals with disabilities work at CMSE. In this second part of our two-part series on the program, Executive Director Bruce Young says his employees love to work, and he's encouraging other mid-Missouri businesses who need help to contact him.
The employees we have, some of them may not work at quite as fast as other workers or that kind of thing, but they are hard workers, and we can just do about any type of job you want. And I would ask, if you've got work, give us a holler, come look at what we've got, and I'm sure we can help you.
CMSE employees perform numerous duties. Some pack and bag, others make door frames or stethoscope replacement kits. The plant has about $2 million in state-of-the-art equipment. If you're interested, you can contact Mr. Young. 573-442-6935 is the number to reach him. About 45 to 50% of the students at CPS here in Columbia Public Schools, are qualifying for free or reduced price lunch. Veterans United Foundation President Eric Moore says while Columbia has a lot of needs, they also have a lot of caring people who have a heart to help.
I'm getting very excited about what I think is going to be the next couple of years of some very significant positive changes in upward economic mobility that I think are going to change the future of our community forever.
And we have more on this story on our website. It's 939theeagle.com. And a Columbia woman remains jailed without bond this morning. She crashed her car Sunday morning on the business loop with 3 children inside. Our news partner ABC 17 reports Gabrielle Harris is charged with driving while intoxicated and 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Court documents quote a witness, according to KMIZ. Our news partner is saying that Harris had been in an argument with a man before the incident. KMIZ's Marina Diaz reports Harris is jailed without bond this morning. Our news is brought to you in this 8 o'clock hour by the Callaway Bank. They have a dedicated customer care team. They get you the help you need and deserve. The Callaway Bank, it's with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 8:07. St. Louis Cardinal baseball is where we'll start here at 8:07. The Cardinals beating the Padres 5-2 at Busch Stadium, sweeping the 3-game series. Nolan Arenado, 3 RBIs. He hit a home run for the Cardinals. They're now 29-21. They're at Wrigley Field. I mentioned Jennings Randolph, and when I mentioned that last hour, I thought to all the young people, I don't know if they know Jennings Randolph, but Jay Randolph always used to call it the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. A lot of atmosphere there at the game and certainly in the stands as well. 5-game series. We started out tonight, 7:05 the first pitch on 93.9 The Eagle. Cleveland beat the Royals on Wednesday 4-0. Connor Pilkington, 8 strikeouts for the Guardians to earn the win. The Royals are idle today. And in high school baseball, Father Tolton, Southern Boone will both play separately for state championship games in baseball. Tolton will play for the Class 3 title game tonight, 7 o'clock. Springfield Catholic is the Blazers beat Lawson yesterday 6-3. Southern Boone, 11 innings. They beat Marshall 6-5 in the Class 4 semifinal game. A.J. Evans, game-winning hit. Eagles play Logan Rogersville. State title game today, 1 o'clock in Ozark. Our sports brought to you this hour by Anderson Windows. It's 8:08. All right, John, thank you. Great work today on television with Ms. Drakus. It's right now sunny, 59. 809 Traffic Check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Our roads are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri on this Thursday morning. Finally getting some dry time. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. A live interview with our Mayor of Columbia, Barbara Buffaloe, comes your way next. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
And I think that extends to what I also want to see in our community members working with one another to help solve some of these issues that we have and not get into some of the rhetoric that we hear over and over, because I don't think it benefits.
That is now Mayor Barbara Buffaloe, right after she was elected mayor of the city of Columbia. She's joining us on the show now, and I want to ask you first well, I have two first questions. My first question, as I was telling everybody yesterday, my first question is, I want to know who carpooled with who on the way to the retreat last weekend. I want to know that makeup. But do you feel like that in your time in office, since you took the oath of office and you were sworn in as our mayor, do you feel like people are working together? And I mean the community, whether you're talking residents, folks that come and chat at the meetings, news outlets, media. Do you feel like everybody's been working together?
I mean, it didn't change overnight. It wasn't like I hit the gavel and all of a sudden everyone's like, rainbows and unicorns came out of the closet.
Yeah.
But, I think we're seeing a positive change. It's not to say that people weren't working together. It's just that we can always improve, right?
Yeah. All right. And one of the things you did to improve that was to do this retreat last weekend with some elected officials, some city employees. So seriously, who did you carpool with? Did you?
Well, I got a ride down with our acting deputy city manager, Mike Griggs.
Yeah.
In my car was council members Peters and Foster. And it was quite a nice ride, riding down, having somebody else drive me around.
You know what?
This is the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Branden, people will drive me. When we got down to the place, there was even a guy when it was raining who offered to give me a ride in a golf cart. I was like, well, go on.
About that. Do you pull the Branden Rathert line? Don't you know who I am? Here's my line, Barbara.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't pull that, but Matt Pitzer did on my behalf. He was like, do you know who you're driving right now?
I love it. My line, don't you know who I am? I am the guy who used to work with Brad Trinago right now. Columbia Mayor Barbara Buffaloe. That is actually an interesting makeup. So you rode down with Betsy Peters, and she's behind Matt Pitzer in my mind now, probably as conservative as they come on our city council, behind Matt Pitzer. She's there. And then Foster the other way. And then there's you. And then DeCarlin Seawood, who just a few hours from now going to be given state of the city address. Highlights, one or two highlights from the event last weekend.
Yeah, so I think we had a really good activity that we did on I think it was the second day, so Friday morning. And it was basically like a speed dating where council members went from table to table one at a time, and the city department leadership stayed at the table. So there'd be like 3 or 4 department leaders at each table. And we went and we were asking them in 5 minutes, tell us a quick rundown of what are the big hot topics coming up in your department over the next year, like 6 months to a year. So we got to hear things about city staffing, what they're doing for recruitment in the police department, what they're doing for recruitment in utilities, actually all of our departments. We got to hear about, new master plans happening for some of the departments and infrastructure, capital improvement process, and what's going to be happening with the budget. So it was really quick, and it was great because we don't often get on the first and third Mondays time to hear from the city department leadership what they're working on. Like, what are the big things? We just see what we're voting on that day. Mm-hmm. And so it was a really good opportunity for them to tell us where are some of the big flares that might come up that we need to be aware of before we have to make a decision.
Okay, and if you'll do me a favor in the city council meeting on Monday, if for some reason Parks comes up, please make very clear as the mayor any personal conversation you had with Branden Rathert. I applaud the hard work that the employees of the city parks. I admire their hard work. Everybody I've met in the city parks department has passion for the job. It's the frustration at taxpayers that keep giving them 3 funding mechanisms, and I'm out there on a Thursday in the rain shoveling mud off a city park because it's been sitting there forever. If it comes up, Barbara, just mention that. Columbia Mayor Barbara Buffaloe hanging out with us this morning.
I will do that, Branden.
Thank you.
Branden, thanks. Mayor Brian Hauswirth, it's a pleasure to have you with us live on the air. We appreciate it. I know I talked to you before the retreat, and we appreciate the interview there. I want to go back to Branden referenced State of the City today, and I'll be there at City Hall to cover Mr. Seawood at 11. And I know you can't say too much. I talked to Sydney Olson. She gave us a sneak peek, but she can't give a lot of details as well. But one thing she did say we'll hear today is the issue of staffing. We know that will come up. We know that he will talk about recruiting city employees, and we'll let him tell that story today because we don't have the specifics. But just in general, as a general topic, how big is that issue right now with the city, and do you think we're making progress in that area, specifically in trash, the sanitation department?
So at the high level, it's huge. I mean, we are, obviously the City of Columbia's organization is not alone in having workforce shortages. You're seeing this in private industry, other public entities. You're seeing this across, the city, the state, the nation. What we can do, though, is from the city's perspective, one is reviewing pay and classification and compensation. Like, how are our people being taken care of? And is their pay on par with other, regional peer cities? But one of the other things that came up a lot at the retreat last week, and I expect to come up probably, if not in the state of the city, at least in the next few months of discussion before the budget, is about what can we do to make sure we're retaining employees. Those who have that institutional knowledge on how to get stuff done, what can we do to make sure that they're in a workplace, a work environment that supports them, and also make sure that they're thinking about what can we do to have them continue to work with us. There was a discussion, I remember, I think it was the IT acting director, who talked about, we get people when they're first starting out of college, and we get them at the end, like closer to retirement. But we miss that middle part. And I think you're seeing that in a lot of the departments. And that's like, how do we make sure that we're continuing to engage our employees and keeping them involved in the decisions we're making going forward so that they want to stay? Because, we want them to stay.
Columbia Mayor Barbara Buffaloe on Wake Up Columbia on Hot Talk 93.9, the Eagle. Before we let you go, I do want to ask, so you're sworn in a couple weeks ago. You're doing some things. You've shared, 2 different city council meetings now. And you and I have always been honest with each other. We know where we stand politically. We disagree, but we respect and I think like each other. I think we enjoy a healthy relationship, an honest relationship. I dig your sense of humor. What's it been like?
How's it been?
Yeah, first couple of weeks.
It's been busy, Branden.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be busy going in. I have to say, I don't understand how people actually can do these jobs, especially the role of the mayor with all the demands on it and also being productive and carry another full-time job. I'm lucky that this is my job, even though it doesn't pay like a good salary. But it's been busy. Like, I'll give you an example. So today, when we get off, I'm going to be going over to tour the Aurora dairy plant.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I'll see you, Brian, later this morning to see the current state of the city. Meeting with other constituents later this week. Tomorrow, we've got a talk with the Women's Business Center. There's a ribbon cutting and proclamation for an open. Saturday, I'm doing a bike ride with the mayor from Jefferson City, where community members are invited from Columbia to join me as I ride towards Jefferson City. We're going to meet Mayor Carey Turgeon for lunch in Hartsburg and then ride back. And it's just every day. Every day there's something. But you know what? I got into this because I love meeting with people. I like thinking about how we're helping make a positive influence and impact in our community. So I'm happy to do it. My husband and children would probably say I need to learn to say no more often.
Yep.
And I'll work on that, but it's hard.
It is, and it is great to have an impact on the community. Recently, there were some neighbors along Scott Boulevard who were furious about the weeds growing up there, and we started talking about it on the show, and apparently the signs there have come down. So I get the wanting to impact the community. We have had impact here on the show.
I joked when I was talking about that with somebody. I joked that I thought one department was like punking another department. Like, okay, you don't want us to know? Booze, time division is coming out.
Mayor Barbara Buffaloe, listen, and seriously, we joke and we kid and, we try to be honest about what is happening, what's not happening, and explain why and how it affects people. But ultimately, we do, me personally, I don't know about Stephanie over here because she lives in Ashland, but I do want to be a good steward to the Columbia community. Stephanie cares about all of Mid-Missouri.
I do, and I'm glad to see you're doing a joint event with Mayor Turgeon. I think more cooperation and coordination among Mid-Missouri leaders is important.
But we do. We want to be of service. We want to do what we can to help the folks that live here. So please keep that in mind.
Are you volunteering for a border commission, Branden? Is that what I hear?
Am I volunteering for a spot on the park commission, on the city park commission? Is that what you said? Is that what
I said? A board or commission.
Yeah, if it's
applications are due this Friday, I think. So get ready.
I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, but I feel like sitting here on Wake Up Columbia, I'm the board of all the departments. I'm kidding. Oh my God. God.
That is good of you.
Barbara, appreciate you, and we do want to visit again and have you back on the show to be of service to the citizens of Columbia. So if there's something that we can do for you, please let us know.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Right, thank you very much. Coming up just a few. Okay. So if you're a newer listener to the show, when I say something like that, I am kidding. I am not. I'm the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I am the, and here's why it's fun, because I'm the board of all the. Here's to me why it's funny, because I am the exact opposite of arrogant or any of that kind of conceit. I don't. For example, recently they wanted me to submit for Morning Show of the Year or Air Talent of the Year for this national thing, and I won't do it. I'm not submitting myself in a work. I don't like that stuff. So that's, if you're a new listener to the show, I promise you, I'm not arrogant, because I am way too good to be arrogant.
Don't lie, Branden. You just didn't want to have to put together a submission.
No, I don't even like it when it's my birthday. I don't like the attention on me. I'm shy and I'm bashful by nature.
You've already been telling me what you want to do for your birthday in January.
Well, since y'all's probably going to do something anyway, I figured I'd put, you know what I want for my birthday?
I know exactly what you want for your birthday. You want a roast.
I want a roast, and I want and not just on-air roast. Like, I want like a haul, and listen, here's how far I've taken this. I've been making a list of people I want to come to my roast. Besides the usual suspects, Governor Parson, Sheriff Carey, I've got I'm willing to fly out my first ex-wife.
No.
I have an ex-girlfriend that I dated here that I used to refer to as the future Mrs. Rathert on the show. I would want her to be a part of this
I think I'm going to need to veto some members on this
Not
list.
the third Mrs. Rathert?
Not ex-girlfriends, current girlfriends. Have them all come do this roast. Coming up, Morning Bell, what do you got for us?
We have not talked about my boyfriend.
The power of local talk. Wake Up Columbia with Branden. 93.9 The Eagle.
It's my driver. It's going to be either the best or the worst thing out there. So we're going to see. I'm going to hit it every single time because I want to hit those good ones. But it concerns me. But at the same time, I'm happy about it.
Already one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he plays right here in the Show Me State. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Chiefs, did the big golf event yesterday. It was Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, very talented quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. Allen and Mahomes end up losing to Brady and Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Welcome into the show. Coming up 1 week from, a couple of weeks from now, it's going to be on a Feel Good Friday, our annual Central Missouri Honor Flight Radiothon. We were talking about this big story the other day out of Florida, first ever all-female honor flight. Well, we do our own Central Missouri Honor Flight Radiothon. We do it every year. It's with Diamond Pet Foods. It's going to be on Friday, June 24th. You can help send a veteran to Washington, D.C. And this is really, it's a transformative trip. It's not a field trip. These veterans, regardless of when and where they served, whether they were in war or not, it doesn't matter. If you're a veteran, you can take part at no cost to you as a veteran. And here's why it's no cost to you, because people call in during our annual Central Missouri Honor Flight Radiothon with Diamond Pet Foods, and they donate and make it happen. Doing it this year, Friday, June the 24th, so just a few weeks from now. That's going to be happening. Would love for you to be a part of that. As a matter of fact, you can go to our website. You'll find a bunch of info there. Right now, it's 8:28 time for the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. And we've been teasing her, calling it the Daily Elon Musk Report, but I think we're moving on from that today.
Nope.
Oh.
You know I love Elon. And he's been kind of quiet lately, but yesterday he sent an email to all the Tesla employees basically saying, you know what, get your buns back in the office. And I'm old school like that. I think remote work, there's a lot of room for play. And I am an in the office kind of gal. And so he said, hey, just FYI, you need to have 40 hours in the office, and he said, what did he say? Moreover, the office must be where your actual colleagues are located, not some remote pseudo office. So, no working at the coffee shop or at, some co-working space.
Did anybody tweet back and say, by the way, Elon, you're not technically our boss yet?
This isn't Twitter. This is Tesla.
Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla. He is. He was tweeting about, or somebody tweeted out what he sent to the Tesla employees and said, look, when I was in charge of the factory, I was there every day showing them that I'm a leader and your presence in the office matters. And I think it does.
If I had a job, I don't know if I would favor one or the other. Fortunately, I don't have a job. It's not an issue that I have to worry about. Coming up, another positive thing regarding the Depp Heard trial. That's 5 minutes from now.
News. I'm Lillian Wu. A search for answers is underway following a mass shooting in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which left 4 victims and the gunman dead.
They do not believe that this was a random shooting and say the gunman went to this specific location with a specific purpose. This took place just before 5 p.m. on the campus of St. Francis Hospital. Police say the shooter, a black man between 35 and 40 years old, was armed with a long rifle and a handgun.
Fox's Garrett Tenney officials say the shooter killed himself, and 200,000 people filed for first-time jobless help last week.
The estimate was for 210,000. Continuing claims a little bit weaker than expected. 1.309 million. Street looking for 1.325 million. Labor costs, we are going higher again. 12.6%.
Fox's Cheryl Cassoni. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31. We do have partly sunny skies. It is 61 right now in Columbia. We're going to have a beautiful day today. Mild, our high 77 degrees. Clear skies tonight with a low near 53. And Friday, sunshine with a high of 80 degrees. Good morning, and here are some of the stories we are working on for you in this 8 o'clock hour. One of Columbia's largest employers and healthcare providers celebrates its 50th anniversary this morning with a ceremony. Harry Truman Memorial Veterans Hospital opened in 1972. President Gerald Ford signed the bill into law, bipartisan bill, to rename that bill for Harry Truman back in 1975. Harold Volkmer was one of the sponsors of that bill. You may remember that name, former congressman from this district, from Hannibal. 10 o'clock ceremony, the hospital's main entrance. They'll have a time capsule as well. It's open to the public. Columbia City Manager DeCarlin Seawood delivers his first State of the City address this morning, City Hall, 11 o'clock in the council chambers. He will be outlining big project successes in the past year. Sidney Olson, the city spokesperson, says he will also discuss his priorities for staffing. Veterans United's foundation, some others exploring the issue of economic mobility in Columbia. VU Foundation President Eric Morse.
And all the different things that are tied to that, from early childhood literacy to transportation, housing. And it's not one single issue, and there's not one single solution.
He's optimistic. He tells the Eagle he believes there'll be positive changes, significant positive changes in the next few years. And a Columbia woman jailed without bond today allegedly crashed her car while she was intoxicated on the business loop, 3 children inside. News brought to you by Hemi Construction. Turning our attention now to sports. Cardinals beat the Padres 5-2 Wednesday at Busch Stadium. They sweep the 3-game series. Nolan Arenado homering for the Cardinals, 3 RBIs, including a sacrifice fly in the game. St. Louis now 29-21. They're only 2 back in the National League Central. Wrigley Field tonight against the Cubs. First pitch, 7:05, right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Cleveland beat the Royals Wednesday 4-0 as the Royals are idle today. Houston Astros coming to town for the weekend at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. They are a very good team. We'll talk more about the Astros tomorrow. Father Tolton here in Columbia High School. They play for the Class 3 state championship baseball game today in Ozark. A rally from behind beat Lawson 6-3. They'll play Springfield Catholic 7 o'clock tonight in Southwest Missouri for the championship game. That again is in Class 3. Class 4, Southern Boone has a chance to win a state title. They play today at 1. Logan Rogersville, the opponent, at U.S. Ballpark in Ozark. 1 o'clock today. Southern Boone beat Marshall in 11 innings yesterday, 6-5. Sports brought to you by Witt Print Shop. Our news time, 8:34. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Our roads are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you'd like to report a traffic issue, you can give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
This one hit out to right field, and that'll do it. Austin Evans walks off the Marshall Owls and wins with 1 run in the bottom of the 11th inning, 6-5.
What an incredible game. Southern Boone Eagles yesterday. So excited for Carter Salter and the rest of the ball players there. And this is exciting not just for the ball players, and I think, and it's something I get excited about, not just the friends and the family of the ball players, but this is exciting. I always think this stuff is great, whether you're talking Mizzou softball or a high school baseball or basketball team. Here's why we get excited for something like that. Number one, they win in 11 innings in walk-off fashion yesterday. What a remarkable win for the Eagles. But it gives us something else to kind of root and cheer for, you know? And I'm hoping we come back here tomorrow. Are they playing tonight?
They're playing actually today. They're playing today. Logan Rogersville, 1 o'clock in Ozark, Missouri.
And I'm hoping that tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday, we are celebrating the folks. Well, I hope we're celebrating the Eagles because I love that kind of stuff. It's kind of it's something else to think about, something positive. No matter where you live, if you're a neighbor here in mid-Missouri, then we pull for these people, and we don't think about, what's happening in D.C. and all this stuff, 450 miles to the southwest of here in Tulsa. It's like, hey, here's something we can feel good about, something we can rally behind. And I think that's why that's...
And unite, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
By the way, I have another reason why this, John, and I think people are starting to get it, because I know, and I was the same way, too. Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, multi-millionaire, Hollywood elite trial, who cares? There were several important things that have happened. As a matter of fact, everybody knows who Kyle Rittenhouse was, right? Mm-hmm. How that trial is now affecting what Kyle Rittenhouse, I said this, why this is important, and it's going to matter. We want to get into that, but I do want to talk about something else more local.
Yeah, Truman VA today. We cannot bring this up without mentioning that there have been bumps in the road for Truman VA. And congratulations to them. I mean, it was a big deal to get that hospital here in 1972. President Ford signed the bipartisan bill to rename it for former President Truman back in 1975. But really, two quick observations, Branden. Number one, that hospital, I was here in 1998, and there were rumors it was going to close. There were budget issues, and I remember reporting on it. And Senator Kit Bond, I mean, he and Kenny Holsoff, the congressman at the time, worked very hard. Kit Bond went directly to President Clinton and in that administration, but directly to the president, and told him how important this hospital was. I don't know if it was ever in any serious danger of closing, but there were certainly concerns about it in the community. The other thing that we have to bring up is, and people will remember this, there was a terrible situation where we had about 15, maybe more than that, it depends on what report you read, 15 veterans who died in that hospital mysteriously back in the late 80s to the 90s. And there was actually a nurse who was charged and faced the death penalty at one point for murdering these veterans by, it was some drug. But the courts threw that basically charge out, saying it was not admissible, and Kevin Crane had to drop the charges. But that was just a terrible tragedy.
By the way, quick text, 874-9390. Brenda says, hey, Safety Bob is down for the count. He used to be standing up there at 63 in Route B. I guess he fell over in the wind. Apparently, he's still there. He's just, I don't know if it was the wind. Maybe he drank too much last night, but apparently Safety Bob is...
like Barrel Bob? I don't know that his name's Safety Bob.
Safety Bob? Barrel?
It'd be Barrel. It's Barrel Bob.
Barrel Bob?
Yeah, Barrel Bob. She'll need to, well, MoDOT I know is listening, I'm sure, but they'll have to go out, and that'll be MoDOT that will have to take care of that.
Incidentally, MoDOT is here Monday on the show talking about some big forthcoming projects, including 63 and Grindstone, and how you can have a say-so in that. And then the potential future at 6370. And I'm kind of torn about this. I haven't said a whole lot about it, but I've been for, I guess, well over a year now trying to work on doing something there that does not utilize taxpayer money. Because you pull into Columbia, we look like a dump. Let's just be honest about it. And I don't feel that way about our town. And so I've been working on stuff, and it looks like there's the potential that in the coming few years there could be some big changes at that interchange, which is good. But let's do something there. And I know some folks, they get triggered by the word beautification projects. I'm not talking about a beautification project. Is what I've been talking about is something that says, hey, this is Columbia. Welcome in. Maybe pull off the side of the highway and spend some money at a small local business. Why not do that? We look bad. We do. And as a matter of fact, pretty much all of I-70 through Columbia, we look bad. I'm not sure what it looks like coming from the Kansas City side offhand because it's been a while since I've come from that way. But that's important. I look at any of these other cities that you pull into on the interstate. I've never been in O'Fallon, Missouri. I've got a favorable impression of it. I've stopped there at the gas station just because it looks good.
They put pretty flowers and railings and stamped concrete and lighting. That's becoming more and more important.
Are you teasing me?
No, I mean, aesthetics are important, and when the money is there to do it, I think it's important. Now, completely revamping. I mean, at this point, I think most people's complaints about 63 and 70 is not that it's not pretty. It's that it's a huge pain in the you-know-what. to try to get anywhere, especially if you got a lot of people in town. So I think that's my number one priority.
Number one priority for a lot of folks over, I guess it's been almost like 6 weeks. This has been their number one priority.
And the fecal delivery, and saying that it was the dogs. And I could not agree with her. I'd lived with those dogs. I picked up their fun.
No, I get it. I've been married a couple of times.
I don't get that.
I get that y'all, when you're married, you have weird disagreements about stuff. You could have a disagreement about the color of the sky. You could have a disagreement about what you're going to name the gerbil this week. You can have all these weird disagreements. I think everybody gets that. If you've been in any substantial relationship, you have weird things that you disagree about. But to be in disagreement over who crapped on the bed, was it the Yorkie or was it my wife? God. And we've been saying, as a matter of fact, we have this guy on 710 this morning. His name is Mark Goldman. He deals with these celebrities. He's a PR guy for Goldman Sachs. But we were talking about why it's important. The guy was defamed, and a jury of his peers found that yesterday. They said, yeah, somebody said some false stuff about you, and you're right. And $15 to $10 million net, whatever he gets, that is nothing. That's nothing to him. He said it's not about the money, it's about the truth. And I applaud it for so many reasons, especially as a man, because when you're a guy in Hollywood, you get accused of anything. You are guilty. Even if you're not, you're guilty, because that's the way the public treats you. That's the way the media treats you. You're a guy and a chick accuses you of something, you are automatically guilty. Johnny Depp said, boom, boom, take two of these, and he won, and that is important. The other thing that was important about this is the number of younger people. This is something we covered yesterday. The number of younger people that kind of glimpsing at the news or paying attention, at the very least, to this and maybe casually seeing some other stuff.
To social media, I mean, the trial's all over YouTube and all over TikTok, and yeah, it's kind of engaged a new generation. And hopefully, I mean, like our guest was talking about, hopefully they're not just engaged because it's, celebrities, but they start becoming more engaged in the legal process and the larger movements and issues at play in the trial.
And I think the newspaper that started it all by printing her, and she never named, is what had this all started, because she claimed to be this victim of abuse and all this stuff, and didn't name Johnny Depp. I can't remember if it was Washington Post, New York Times, Washington Post. They ran with it, and I think they should be held accountable too. So you know how else this is important? You know another bigger reason why this is important? You've got people like Kyle Rittenhouse. You know who Kyle Rittenhouse is, right? He was the guy who fatally shot a couple of dudes and injured a third in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He was acquitted, 6-7 months ago. He was acquitted of first-degree homicide. He was acquitted of 4 other charges. And now he's thinking, because of this, I need to go after the news outlets who defamed me. Who was the other guy? Kentucky several years. That kid, Nick Sandmann, and the quote-unquote confrontation with the Native American, and the way CNN and USA Today and MSNBC, they buried this kid. They buried him. He got so much money, and his lawsuits, I think a lot of them, the networks, the national news networks, they don't even want them disclosing how much money. I mean, he got almost, I bet he's approaching Johnny Depp money. That's how much money he got from the news outlets that defamed him. That's why the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing has been important. And now Kyle Rittenhouse yesterday, he's sitting around. Guess who was glued to the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial? Guess who was glued to the decision? Kyle Rittenhouse, this guy who beat a murder charge. This guy who was vilified in the media, this young man who went to go and protect people. He's watching the media. He's watching the verdict from this Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. And after it comes out, he goes, huh. And it's also important because I hope that more news outlets, they will consider when they do that stuff, especially these woke ones that are trying to push an agenda. They're not trying to push news. Get on the front page of USA Today And you don't even have to read the stories. Just look at the news headlines on USA Today and what it has become anymore. They're just trying to push an agenda. Look at things like the BBC, what they did. BBC altered, they were talking a story about a victim of rape. Her attacker was transgender. So the BBC, verbatim BBC altered quotes from a female rape victim in its reporting so as avoid to misgendering her transgender attacker. So in other words, this woman in her story kept referring to the rapist as a him. He raped me. This guy raped me. This guy took away the sanctity of my body. This man, this guy, he, him. BBC said, well, that's not politically correct. Changed her quotes to reflect they, them. That's complete and utter. But that's what these people are doing. Well, you don't want to misgender. The dude raped me. All right. Don't change. Number one, and and there's two nasty things about the story. Number one, that they're changing if you're quoting somebody, you quote somebody. You do not change their quotes. You don't do that as a journalist. And then to change the story of this victim who is raped by a man who identifies as a woman because the BBC wanted to be woke. And that's why this stuff matters. Coming up, Michelle Gleba, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. She's going to be hanging out with us. Vacation scams. You been on to an Airbnb recently to rent a place?
I'm going this weekend.
I just paid $2,300 the other day for a place that
Local opinion? We've got your back. Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
And understand what happened in that context. But I also think that we need to take very seriously that whoa, guys.
Our camera fell down.
Jake Tapper, CNN, talking to White House advisor Brian Deese about the baby formula shortage, and all of a sudden the camera just came down. Welcome into the show. So summer starts on, I think it's June 21st. You talk to most meteorologists, and I think they call it the meteorologist calendar. They don't go by the lunar solar calendar or whatever. Not professional, but basically June, July, August, that's summer. September, October, November is fall. December, January, February is winter, even though that doesn't fall in line with the actual official dates for spring. Anyhow, we're in summer now. Summer vacation. Stephanie's getting ready to go trip. I just booked a place in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, on Airbnb. Maybe first I should have called Michelle Gleba from the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. With the Airbnb stuff, every time I do it every year, but I always get a little sketchy. Have you ever had any major problems as it relates to vacation rental properties?
So what we tend to see with this type of situation is that con artists will often lure in vacationers with the promise of low fees or great amenities, and then the owner creates a false sense of urgency to get payment. And then typically the rental does not exist after you pay.
All right, so that's one of those. And then what about, because if I'm just going somewhere, staying somewhere for a night, it's not Airbnb, and I spend less time in hotels now and more time in Airbnbs when I travel. But if I am in a hotel, am I pretty good there?
Well, a lot of people don't think about it, but hotels are actually a place that scammers try to victimize you.
Like $11.50 if I drink that bottle of water sitting up there on the nightstand? That's a scam.
Well, usually it occurs when maybe you're ordering food or maybe you get a phone call from the front desk, and scammers will try to do various techniques that seem legitimate in order to obtain your credit card information.
All right. Summer travel. So we've got the Airbnbs, vacation, things like that, vacation rental properties. What can happen in hotels? What about some of the our timeshares? I hear all these advertisements for timeshare companies. Hey, we'll take that timeshare. I'll get you out of that timeshare, because I guess it was a cool thing back in the 80s and 90s. People would get into a timeshare, and it was, like a lifetime contract or something like that.
Right.
Any issues with timeshares when it comes to holiday travel?
Yes, actually, it is still an issue. There are very legitimate companies out there that are, helping people get out of timeshares, but there are also scammers. So you just want to be cautious of that. And typically what they do is they try to tell you that they have someone available to purchase your timeshare if that's something that you want to do. And so you end up paying, a huge fee up front, and then the real estate broker doesn't have anyone at all, to buy your timeshare. So this is how a lot of people get victimized.
So they think, hey, we got a buyer to buy you out of your timeshare, and you get everybody to give me your money and I'll go give it to Joe, and there ain't no Joe, and you never see your money, and you're still stuck in the timeshare.
Right. So the bottom line with all of these different types of, vacation scams is that you want to make sure that you're not spontaneous. Make sure, even though being spontaneous is fun, right? Yeah. You want to go on vacation, take a trip, book a hotel, but just take the time to do your research, get everything in writing, avoid wiring money, and don't pay with a prepaid credit card.
And here's the thing with vacations, because I'm trying to think last time I scammed, lost money, whatever. That's always a bummer. If you're getting scammed, and when I lived in Pensacola, Florida, this would happen all the time. We'd get people show up in town, and they would show up at this address they got through Airbnb. The address, there was no such thing. Yes. Getting scammed sucks.
It does.
Getting scammed on vacation stuff sucks a lot harder, man.
Right.
Michelle Gleba, Better Business Bureau, bbb.org. Thanks for what you do and kind of keeping us informed and keeping us on our toes regarding these things that happen. We appreciate you.
Anytime. I appreciate it.
Guess what? My dad's favorite part of the day is coming up. Mr. Henry Rathert is anxiously awaiting the start of the Gary Nolan Show just minutes from now. Tomorrow we are celebrating a Feel Good Friday. See ya.
Bye.